生まれたただの名前も知らずに地に落ちた鳥は風を待ちわびる祈ったところで何も変わらない今を変えるのは戦う覚悟は力で乗り越えて進む広まるかよ風の雨の豆小さからというその上が進むは反撃のこうした鳥の空なら獲物を飛ぶ家が殺しる空の上そにも描きながらそれより火を浮かつグレーの指輪
That was
all right. And with that, we open up Shredded Cels episode 39. I am your host, Alex Schmitz, and with me here today is Andrew Gleason.
Hi there. That was not completely awful.
Tristan Wayne.
Hello, I'm Tristan Wayne.
Clara Heimberger.
Tristan needs to get closer to his microphone, please.
Yes, he does. And Jorge Sampson.
こんばんは皆さん。これから進撃の巨人についての本番を始まります。
Gesundheit.
Showing
Hello.
off his Japanese.
It's my chance, man. It's now or never.
Just trying to make us look bad, aren't you?
Yeah, really. Just
I
make
think
us all look
it's pretty great.
uncultured.
We are unconscious swines.
A jelly.
There we go. All right. And for those of you who are listening to us for the first time, you'd be interested to hear that we are part of Tech Heads, which is part of AVW Productions, a media production organization here at Ohio University. We are Tech Heads do all sorts of cool things with video games, movies, music, anime. You know, we got a blog.
Video
we
games.
got videos. You know, we got Vidjimi
video
games. You know,
Love
all
them
that sort of good
Vidjimi
stuff.
Old
You know,
sorts of goodies.
Andrew does comic books.
I like those things too.
He's our comic book guy.
I
so
do take those things.
He knows what's going on there.
Nice.
But we are here today to talk about anime, specifically the show Attack on Titan, a 2013 show
Oh
done
my
by
God.
Studio Wit, Shingeki no Kyojin, as Clara said. Before we get into that real quick, we're going to talk about some news in the animation we've watched since last time. The only piece of news I saw that was interesting this week, at least to me, is that has anyone else besides me here seen Gargantia, the anime from earlier in 2013?
No, that's the Urobuchi
No.
one, right?
Yeah, it's the
What is that, man?
Wait, is that the one? I can't remember.
It's set on this sci-fi planet where like the whole
Yeah,
world
that's
is
the
covered
one
by
you showed
water.
us like the first episode too, like last year.
Yeah.
What a world.
Yeah, it's actually really good. It's written by Genro
Beautiful
Ibuchi,
world.
It's actually really
Girl.
cute looking.
produced by Production IG, very pretty, and actually has a nice story, only 13 episodes. And they
nice.
announced
Only
today.
13?
Yep. They announced today that they're making a second season of it.
Wow.
So I'm excited for that because I like that show quite a bit.
I haven't seen it. Like,
I haven't seen it.
short summary.
Please.
Basically, all right, there's this guy who's
Short.
out in space in a robot suit, and they're fighting a bunch of aliens, and he accidentally gets sent off into this warp that brings him to Earth, which initially froze over, and that's why everyone left and went to space. But now the whole world is covered in water instead. Space. Gotta go to space. Space.
man.
Space.
Portal 2 reference.
Exactly. So that's the show. I liked it a lot. You know, written by Genro Ibuchi, so it's got some nice writing, good characters, and let's hope for the
Probably
second season.
feelings.
Yes, there are some feels. Not as
Oh,
bad
man.
as Madoka
Oh, sorry,
or
I kicked you.
Psychopaths, but it's got some feels in it.
Pass now, please.
Yes.
Just bothers.
And as far as animation we've watched since last time, there was one that I didn't mention on last podcast. I probably should have because I watched the newest Studio Ghibli film that's been released in America from Up on Poppy Hill, directed by Goro Miyazaki, who directed Tales from Earthsea, a not so successful Ghibli film, to say the least.
Oh, man.
And
That's sad.
But this one was actually really good. It was a simple story. Like, have any of you guys seen Whisper of the Heart?
Nope.
No, I'm sorry.
What's
Okay.
it about?
Whisper of the Heart or From Up on Poppy Hill?
Whisper of the Heart first.
Okay.
Please.
Whisper of the Heart is just a love story. You know, it's got a little bit of fantastic elements in it with this girl's dreams, but overall it's a story, and she's trying to do a Japanese rendition of Country Road by John Denver. And in this one, it's set in like 1960s Japan, and it's about this group of people who are trying to save this old cultural center, like this old building that's got all this cool, you know, all these clubs in it, and they're trying to tear it down, and it's another
What
love story.
Jerks.
I know, right? But it's got a nice little love story. You know, animation's very nice, very detailed in that Ghibli sort of way.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that a lot. You know, I watched this show called White Album 2. There was New Compellion, Beyond the Boundary, which was actually really good. Had some nice animation, funny lines.
Is that the one?
Yes, that's
That's
the
the
one
one I
you
saw.
started watching.
Is so cute.
You like the Moe glasses girl?
Oh my god, she is the cutest.
She's pretty adorable. That's the new Kyoto animation show this
No, it's like-
season.
Ah, KyoAni.
Cute,
Yeah,
cute, cute,
it's very
cute, cute.
pretty. You should watch it, Tristan.
I like
You'd like it.
cardigans. She wears a cardigan. I think we have a spiritual connection.
Obviously.
You two were meant to be.
Oh,
Yep.
man.
And
There's
then
the only
I
two
hope
people in the
so.
world who wear cardigans.
and Matt
We are the ones.
Matt brought some friends over yesterday and watched Redline, so I got to rewatch some of that.
I only got to see the end of it.
Yeah.
The greatest
That's
ending
fun.
in the universe,
Oh.
you mean?
Oh my god.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, he got to see a good bit of the race
Love.
too. So that's the really cool part. But there's some good stuff before that too,
Yeah.
building character.
He gave me the
and-
Blu-ray, so I'll watch it when I have time.
Nice. Andrew, what have you been watching?
Other than Attack on Titan, which I marathoned
Oh my
in the
God.
last week.
I understand that.
Other than just marathoning that, I watched the first episode of Kill la Kill.
Oh, what did you think of that?
That I did not expect that. I didn't-
Take a
just-
damn breath, anime.
I just did not expect that.
Yeah,
Just to be
It's
that
like the style
crazy.
of Gurren Lagann with the pacing of Panty and Stocking.
I know.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
man.
There
yeah,
is-
well, I know. I like the fact
I
that it
love
was
TSSG.
so fast paced. Like, you know, a lot of anime first episodes are really slow and like not a lot happens. And this, like, it was not wasting any time, which was cool.
It's like they blowed through a single arc of a shonen.
well, it wasn't an arc, but
it felt
No,
like
but
the first
you-
5 episodes sandwiched
Yeah,
into
seriously.
one.
I guess. But the only thing that has me worried about it right now is her costume.
Yeah,
like,
that bothered. That me and my
You know,
friend
the
watched.
costume seems pretty par of the course as far as the people who work on it goes, so
I-
it doesn't bother me
I mean,
that
I
much.
like that she was at least like embarrassed by it, and that she was
yeah,
like
she wasn't cool with that.
she was having issues with that. And then me and my friend watched it, and after that, we're like, we feel vaguely dirty after watching that. Like, we're not allowed to tell anybody that we watched this, right? Sorry, internet.
I'll tell everyone I watched
apologize,
it.
Internet.
In fact, I am.
All right. Anything else, Andrew?
Anime wise, other than keeping up with Korra,
Right.
and that's about it.
Okay. What about you, Tristan?
Well, I watched the first episode of Kill la Kill as well, which you already got my impressions on that. I finished Attack on Titan. I saw the ending of Redline. I was invited to it and came pretty late. They started without me. Sadness. And I continued watching Hyperdimension Neptunia from next week, and it's just got all the same problems as game adaptations and animes has.
Are you going to the JCon thing tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. I know Matt is showing Wolf Children tomorrow. Be there for that because that's
Oh, no, that's...
Mamoru
I
Hosoda's
always go
new
to
film.
I really
I
want to see
always
that
go
too.
to the cone.
Well, they're showing it at JCon tomorrow. Ask Matt when. I don't know when, but that's really good. It's really, really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything else.
Fair enough. How about you, Clara?
Pokemon The Origin.
That's right. I forgot. I watched that as well. We
oh
watched
my
all
god,
four
there
Green
episodes.
is
Oh, that
the
came out.
biggest
Yeah.
bag of weenies. But
It's
I mean,
basically just like you always
It's
imagined playing
perfect.
the game was
It's
like.
absolutely perfect.
Is it
Like, oh
It
my
almost
God.
made me sad that it's probably going to devolve into a promotion for Mega Charizard X.
I don't care about that at all. It was
I kinda care
beautiful.
about that.
The thing is that,
But Mega Charizard X is
like,
cool.
with,
I'm just not into the Mega Evolution thing.
Yeah. Well, your mic's not on right now. I don't know why.
Yeah, we lost you
really?
for a while.
Yeah.
Can you say a few words
Oh,
for
Clara,
us?
Come back to us. Wow.
we want
That's weird.
you.
Well,
Her cable, perhaps?
yeah. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. We'll try to get it fixed. What about you, Jorge? Why don't you tell us what you've been doing?
These days, I've actually been gathering a few films for October, Halloween month, and some obscure, depressing anime as well.
Obscure, depressing anime.
Obscure,
Yeah.
depressing anime.
Ergo Proxy, Line, and all those.
Yeah.
What? Are you
Just-
getting anything now?
How about now?
God damn. I don't know. That the cord just died on us.
Yeah.
It seems like.
No.
Yeah,
I guess you
Cord.
can't be with
Phantom.
us, Clara.
Clara.
Sorry.
All right.
I guess.
No. Well, I know, Claire. Can you just like roll your chair over to this?
They would
side
have to
of the
share a
table?
mic, yeah.
You can share with one of
yeah.
us.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Clara.
One of us. One of
We'll
us.
have to keep in mind that
One of
cable
us,
is.
yeah.
One of us.
Resistance is futile.
All right. Well,
You must
sorry
be
about that
close to
technical
people.
issue out there, listeners. I guess we just had a cable die on us.
That
but
makes it real.
At
man.
least several points in this podcast, you have heard nothing.
yes, but we will continue on.
The truth is,
Carry
Clara
on.
is a ghost. She was never here to begin with.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Ghost.
Introducing.
Oh, she's reappeared.
Oh, is she back? Clara, speak to us.
I'm gonna share with Andrew.
All right.
Yeah, we got you now.
Everyone's going to share. All right. So I think we've gone through the animation we watched since last time. So I think we can move on to the meat of the show, which is Attack on Titan, as we said. It is a 2013 anime that is produced by actually a new studio, Studio Wit. I don't know if you guys know that, but Studio Wit is actually an offshoot of Production IG, sort of like how Bones was an offshoot of Sunrise, and how Trigger is an offshoot of Gainax.
Good trivia.
Sort of, I think. So this is actually their first project as this new studio, and I think they still are pretty connected to Production IG as far as like resources and stuff, but the fact that this is like their first show, and it's such a huge success.
Damn good way to start, man.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty impressive to me. And everyone here has seen all of the anime, with the exception of Clara, who has seen certain episodes and but read all of the manga. Is that correct?
Yes.
Wow. So you have
Seen
more
the ones You've
knowledge.
showed me.
Right. Yeah,
And
I've
what
shown her a
Tumblr
couple.
shows me.
You know
I've
so
couple
much,
episodes.
Clara, please.
I
Withhold your knowledge from
Hey,
us.
I've seen
tell
all.
us.
I've read all the manga too.
You too?
want
Oh,
to-
okay.
Well, actually, not all of the manga. I finished the anime, and from that point in the manga, like chapter 34, I think,
Further ahead.
got to where we are in the
Okay.
manga.
Dishonor.
All right. So
talk
I
to me
figure,
about
you know,
I need to know.
in our conversation about
wow.
the episode, or the series, bleh, we might as well start with the first episode of the show, which honestly I think is like, I don't know if it's one of the best, first episodes of any anime ever, but it's really pretty damn good, I think, like as far as immediately establishing this world and getting you attached to these characters. Because there's so many shows where a family member dies in the first episode, but the way it's executed in this actually makes you like really sad when the mom gets eaten, I think. What are you guys' thoughts?
Well, the fact that like she's like, oh yeah, my kids, get out of here, and then she's like, I don't actually want to die, and it's just like that helplessness where you never get to see, like the aftermath after the kids leave, and the fact that they keep focusing on her screaming, no, I don't want this, and like as like let me go to the Titan, and then she does get eaten. It's like you don't see that. It's always like the kids, get out of here. We can't see what happens afterwards.
Yeah, well, I think it's part of it is the desperation because Eren gets to her and she's just crushed. Her legs are crushed underneath the house, and she's like, there's no way I'm gonna make it out of here. You guys got to go. And you sort of see the desperation on both their faces, and the music is rising.
I think it did its job as far as kickstarting the anime, quite literally.
Aha.
Haha, Colossal Titan kicked a hole in the wall, and it set up the motivation for the main character. But besides from that, it was all right.
So you weren't a huge fan of it?
I'm not saying I wasn't a huge fan, but it did its purpose as an anime. It's probably not my favorite start to an anime,
Wow.
but
Yeah, that's fair.
it did its job.
I don't know. What did you think, Jorge?
Sorry, about specifically what?
Just the first episode.
Oh,
basically.
yeah. I mean, I think the first episode was filled with suspense. I mean, I guess the first half, not knowing exactly what I was getting into, really kept me going, I guess. And then all the little surprises here and there, the Titans themselves and the people and the 3D maneuver gear, stuff like that. So that was all pretty cool.
Well, I think it's pretty effective in that they don't actually open the episode linearly. It goes to when the Colossal Titan is perched over the wall, and in the narrator saying,
Yeah.
that
That single
on
shot, man. That
Yeah.
single shot of that creepy SOB. That
on that
does
day,
it.
humanity was reminded that we
Oh
we
my
lived in
God.
fear of the
I
Titans.
guess my favorite part of the
know.
first episode is the Colossal Titan. I
Yes.
love that.
Well,
thing.
of course.
Oh no, he's awesome. I
I kind of cheered for him. So yeah.
my favorite part of the whole episode though was, and because this kind of comes up later, is that like when the Survey Corps are coming back,
Yeah.
and I love that because it establishes the world, the desperation everybody feels, and it's really great. And then it comes, and then when they use that again to like come back later,
We'll talk about that.
and
when we
that
get there.
because that was one of my favorite moments of the whole series was that
Yeah.
moment.
Well, I think that episode, the first episode, immediately shows you the type of tone that Titan's going for, because you get that mom who comes out there like, "Where's my son? Where's my son?" And the guy comes out and has the arm, what's left of him, and he's like, "We weren't able to do anything against the Titans. I've just lost men or whatever." The commander's like freaking out. And it was also kind of cool because it opens with that beautiful shot of Eren waking up in that field of flowers, with Mikasa over top of him, which they sort of repeat later. Like, Eren wakes up a lot in this
I
anime.
guess an important part of that scene is that you do get a full shot of the wall, which just briefly before you saw this giant monster hurtling over, so you can tell this hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, that's
So from a transition and panning perspective, it did a good job at least setting up that it happened before.
there's a great deal of foreshadowing, and like you were saying, some things that by seeing them, it's part of the past and part of the future. That's working pretty well.
Yeah, well, and then they also, I think they show the opening with the Colossal Titan, then they cut to those scout troopers in the forest, and that's the first time we see the 3D maneuver gear, and they're going and fighting that random Titan, and that's the first time we get to see what's basically the hook for the show. Besides the Titans and the dark story and everything else, the main reason people watch the show is for the awesome 3D maneuver gear action.
Oh yeah,
because it's just so cool.
It's pretty awesome.
beyond cool, man.
Oh yeah, and then with the second episode, the first episode, establishes pretty early, like the darkness of the show. I love when the Titan clamps down on his mom, and you see like those droplets of blood falling almost like flower petals, as like the music's playing and the credits are rolling and everything.
Stupid smiling
And,
Titan.
and then we get to the second episode where it shows the the armored Titan, just plowing through the wall there, and like the desperation of the people. That's always the thing that you see in like zombie movies or whatever. Whenever there's an apocalyptic situation, it's like, how does humanity react to that? Because humanity is sort of its own worst enemy.
I was going to bring that up, how Attack on Titan is essentially an overblown anime zombie apocalypse genre.
Except with giant zombies.
Except with giant... Well, by changing what the monsters are, you get to make up your own rules, which is kind of where Attack on Titan found its niche. But it mostly plays the zombie apocalypse genre pretty straight, all things considered.
Yeah.
How humans react to it, their desperation. It's as much as a battle against humanity as it is against these stupid Titans.
Yeah. Well, because I like that when they're on that big boat and they're like people like clawing, trying to get on the boat. They're like so desperate to escape and everything. And that's of course where we get Eren. I will say I love the way they animate Eren's eyes, like whenever he's really intense, like 'cause on the boat there he's crying, and then he goes up to the edge of the boat and says, "I'll kill them, every last one of them." That becomes his catchphrase basically for the show.
I'll kill the Titans. Oops, messed up. Oops, died. Oops.
Yeah, there'll be spoilers for Attack on Titan, by the way, in case you couldn't figure that out.
Just saying.
I don't know. Were you gonna say something about Eren, Clara?
I was, and now I just totally lost it. Give me a sec.
Okay. But I don't know. I like that. And then what really struck me, like the Colossal Titan breaks through the wall and it's like, oh crap, the Titans are coming. And
That's what it was.
Oh.
How quickly the Titans reacted to the hole being blown in the wall.
Right.
Like, it was like, it almost was like they were waiting for it,
Well,
and then they came
I think
in.
it showed in an earlier... It did show in an earlier scene some Titans just clawing at the wall.
Right, but it's like so many of them.
No, but I think that's explained because remember when Armin realizes that Annie can command the other Titans to do what
she wasn't
wants.
commanding them. She was alerting them to her presence. The Titans attack her the same way they attack Eren as a Titan.
Well, they attack her on the time that
Like, I
that
get
she
how it's
screams,
like-
and wants them to come kill her. But on the because Arwen was theorizing to John that she was the one. She led this army of Titans basically to the hole in the wall. When the
That
Colossal
makes
Titan
sense.
attacked.
And,
Well, yeah,
then-
but assuming if we are to make the assumption that the Colossal Titan is the same as Annie or Eren, then when they see the Colossal Titan, they probably gun for it the same way they gunned for Annie later
Right, that
on.
makes sense.
I guess I'd have to rewatch the episode, but there was something where Armin was saying that she seemed to have some sort of control over them because they were running into more normal Titans than was normal for this sort of
it's
scouting
almost
expedition.
Like that, I guess that smell of humans, or they know it's human.
Well, it's
Yeah, that's a
just-
Really?
good point,
But,
actually. Yeah.
I think humans who turn into Titans are of a specific target because when Eren turned into a Titan, they all were clawing.
True,
jumping
That's
all
true,
but
over
we
yeah.
never.
It's like they're just a very large human,
But
with
we,
Titan
but we never
powers.
saw any Titan attack Annie except on the time that she wanted them to attack her when she
Well, she was
screamed
also
out.
running
Well,
the
she's
whole
also
time.
really fast and
I
kind
know.
of more skilled than.
Precious babe.
I know
Yeah.
she is, but I guess the point is, there's not a lot of development for the theory that
I
the
was
Titans will
thinking about
attack
that
her,
too. How
you
the
know?
Titans just swarmed straight into the wall. I actually had the impression that they'd be afraid of the Colossal Titan because he's kind of
Big.
to
put it
like
lightly.
whether you like him or not, he can step all over you. I guess they have no survival
They
instincts.
don't seem to have much of a consciousness.
Yeah, they don't have
Yeah.
fear or rational
They really
thinking.
don't. Like
just
they're
go
like,
and-
oh, like it's said that like they don't kill to survive. They do just cause.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do. I mean,
Feels
they,
good.
Well, because they
Just
survived
because,
without human flesh for 100 years somehow. So, yeah.
But
Well,
that's
they-
what they tell us.
I mean, it was established that they don't eat, and when Eren was in the stomach of one, he wasn't being digested. And nobody else was being digested. They just sit there.
Yeah, and they even
Some dude plays.
they even show later that
They'll vomit them up.
Yeah, they'll just vomit them up in a big.
We're just playing
ball
cards and
they're
chilling inside.
Full.
There is no purpose to it. It's
It's like, hey, the whole-
giant, stupid, naked zombie cats.
yeah, like
Yes.
that. Just that.
But then the other thing I really love about episode 2 is when it goes to like the food issue inside, because it's Maria that gets broken down first, right?
Yeah.
Or is it Rose?
Oh, Mario.
Mario
is
and then
first.
Sheena.
Mario is first, then everyone moves into Wall Rose, and it's like, oh, there's way too many people here. We can't all survive. There's a food shortage. So the government sends out pretty much all of the adults from Wall Maria to go out to fight the Titans, quote unquote.
Yeah,
In other words, to purge
reduce,
the population,
yeah.
Which
which is damn dark.
There's
it's
a whole
horrible.
class thing going there.
Yeah, well, it's like, what was it, like 250,000 people or
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah. There is as much of a class struggle amongst the humans as
There-
there are other things.
there is, and that does kind of come out near the end of the series when they go inside
Sheena.
Sina?
Yeah,
Sheena?
Wall
Mhm.
Sheena.
Sheena, and with the military police sitting there, and they kind of get into that, and I like that that's there, and I do understand that the refugee sending them all to die was really dark and very immoral, but at the same time, I mean, like they're working under limited resources
Yeah.
already.
Well, that's what's something I find interesting about the show in general. Like, even our heroes, they basically come to the conclusion, like, we have to reject our humanity and do these terrible things and sacrifice these people in order to win. It's the only way we have a chance of winning is if we do these dark, horrible things, pretty much.
Just don't sacrifice too much, or there won't be enough to save.
Yeah.
Was it like, beware when you look at the abyss, that the abyss won't look back at you, or that he who fights monsters does not become one himself. They seem to be driving that home pretty hard
Yep.
in this show, which is cool.
But the inverse was, and what did Armin say at the last two episodes? Was it
if you don't sacrifice anything, how can you accomplish anything? Or
Exactly.
something like that.
Yeah, something like that, and that also seems to be like another theme that like they're trying to play on both. Like,
Yeah, because he says Annie was obviously able to sacrifice humanity. Can you do that, Eren?
Because there's a price for peace. There's a price for being able to be human, even in those times.
Right.
Life is a dark place, and humanity is screwed up.
Especially when they were boarding the ships.
I think this
with
can all be
people.
summed up with Mikasa's line in the last or second to last episode. World is cruel.
The world is cruel.
World is cruel.
Well, that Eren says it too. Like, the world is a cruel place. That's
He
when
only says
he's-
it because Mikasa says it, though. So
I don't know about that. Because that's where, remember when he's like bleeding all over the
No,
place? He's
he-
got that demon look on his
Yeah.
smile on his face, which was a cool moment.
Like I was Zankokuda.
Yeah. And then we get to the third episode. Episodes 3 and 4 are pretty much the training episodes, which, of course, is a shonen-esque anime.
I
This
love
is-
those, man.
This is kind
for
of where I
some
think one
reason.
of the
Boot camp.
first flaws of Attack on Titan comes out. It's pacing.
Now, see, I agree with you. Titan has some pacing problems, but the training episodes
I love
needed to
those.
be there
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I think
I agree,
Yes,
actually.
I think it was important because it did establish the binds that the top 10 people had, which does become important through this anime and after.
yeah, to be honest, like there's some character development during like the more actiony bits of the show, but it's when it slows down that you can really dive into that. So we got to meet, Sasha as Potato Girl, who is by far the
Yeah.
best character in episode 3.
And the drill sergeant, man, is really a good character. I think it's pretty funny and
I remember when I watched that episode for the first time, I kept on thinking, because he mentions whatever Aaron's mom name is like, I don't know,
thought he
Sarah,
mentioned his-
your son is grown up well, he's grown up strong or something like that. It's like, how does the creepy general, sergeant guy know Aaron's mom?
I'm kind of thinking, I don't know, assumption cast, but I'm kind of thinking that Aaron's family in particular is pretty well known because of his father's profession.
Right. So they probably met his mom at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. But I don't know. I did see some people when episode 3 came out Clara, that they were saying that they animated like some of the moments in episode 3, like Sasha diving for the bread and everything, like they made it perfectly how one would envision it from the manga. Do you agree with that?
Agree, very much agree.
I know.
Sasha is one of my favorite characters, and like later on in the anime, they should go a little bit into her backstory. Hopefully, if they do that and follow the manga.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
Because her backstory is actually really kind of sad.
I'm kind of wondering.
Everyone has tragic backstories.
I'm kind of
in
wondering
anime.
how long it will be before they get a second season going, because I'm not really convinced that there's enough after where the anime
Oh my
left
god,
off.
there's so much right now.
Well,
Well,
but
there is so much, and with the way Titan paces things out, it probably could, but I'm not convinced that there's enough yet
But
for
by
them
the
to do
time,
it.
like, if we assume it will take them like 2 years to make, the next season of Attack on Titan, by then there'll be 2 years more of manga. So that's another,
Right.
however many chapters.
True.
So it's one of those things, maybe they'd have to throw a filler arc in there, and I hope they don't have to do that because I hate filler arcs.
No.
No filler, please.
We'll have a beach episode, guys.
Some filler,
Beach.
but not.
Where's there a
yeah.
beach in that Forbidden Wall?
We make
Bathhouse.
Oh no!
No, they bring that up though because they want to go see the beach. Like there was a plot point early on. Like we want to go explore the
So if we
world.
There
want
is
a
no
beach
beach.
episode, then we're gonna have to fight through all these
There
Titans.
is no beach and no hope.
Yeah. Well,
Without
hot
any beach,
spring.
we cannot have salvation.
that's right, because Eren, when Armin's talking to Eren about that, he's like, "What, are you crazy? Salt is a really rare commodity. There's no way it would be in the sea, and he's
No way, all that much would be in
I
the
know.
water. It'd be crazy.
Yeah, which is something kind of interesting. I guess the walls themselves are pretty freaking enormous, so they still have a good bit of land, but yeah, they don't know any other ecosystems besides this sort of foresty sort of area that seems to be where the walls were
And
built.
one thing though, like I don't think there has been any rain at all in the show, has there? Inside of the walls, have you?
I wouldn't look too into that. It could have easily just been it hasn't rained.
I know, but
I
I'm
mean,
just
it
saying that the
hasn't-
weather there is sort of like static.
Yeah, it definitely got cloudy at a certain point in the fight for Trost. I don't remember if it rained or not.
I think it snowed at the end of the second episode.
That I saw, I think.
I
yeah,
think
it did
did.
snow.
So it does a little bit, but like whenever they show a scene in that show, it's like one day for
If
like
anything-
episodes.
Yeah.
If anything, the world should be in the best shape of its life because humans aren't mucking up the majority of it. I mean, it does say that the Titans pretty much leave wildlife to be, so
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The world is probably pretty,
Healthy.
healthy, except for the fact that there are man-eating titans everywhere outside of the walls.
yeah.
Well,
but
that's not a man. Should be fine.
Well, there you go. So if you're a deer, you're cool. But
Except dear is Satan.
yeah, you don't like deer. Not a fan. All right. I will say
Roadkill.
you brought up the sergeant guy. I just love him because he has the most demonic, like sunken in eyes of like any anime character ever. And just your stereotypical drill sergeant who's always screaming at them, like
the
always.
king doesn't want your blood.
Yeah, I love when he's like
No, wait, it's body.
when he's like talking with Sasha and he's like, why are you eating that potato? And then she just like looks up and offers him half, and he's like dumbfounded, like, is this girl really this stupid?
Establishing character
Potato
moment.
girl, yeah.
Pretty much, and I think it's in episode 3 too. I love it when John immediately falls in love with Mikasa and he sees her walking with Eren, and then he wipes something on Connie's shirt and he's like,
No,
what
it
did you
was-
do? And it's like, my faith in humanity.
I love John and Mikasa.
I like-
You have no idea. In like the latest chapter, my feelings soared
Oh, you were shipping it, Clara?
a little bit.
I didn't like John at first because of that scene, mostly because it made a point to notice that he really liked Mikasa's hair, and then Eren convinced Mikasa to cut her hair, and then he wiped his face on Connie's back.
Oh, was that the
Yeah,
reason?
I think that was because she does kind of pay special attention to how beautiful her hair is,
No,
and then
see, I thought the reason was just that he like was going to talk to Mikasa, and then he saw her talking so casually with Eren and thought like they were together.
I think it
and
was
got
part
mad.
of that, but then Eren told her to cut his.
He tried to do the thing, and then it didn't work, so he just
Yeah.
got really mad at
So
Eren.
Well-
at first, this anime actually tugged me back and forth with most of its characters because at first I didn't like Jean, but later on in the series he becomes a pretty
Well,
respectable
I think
guy.
I think that's how it's supposed to be because both John and Armin aren't that great near the beginning, but I think they go through the most character development of any one of the main characters by the end because
Especially
they become
Armin.
pretty BA by episode 25.
Yeah.
Oh no, I agree. Armin became like one of my favorite characters.
Oh, yeah.
by
Mr.
the end.
Super Brain.
Oh my god, like he figured out like a plot twist that like took us a few minutes to figure out. Like, wait, you paid attention to the plot? I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, that's
You.
true.
It's
You.
like he's reading the script.
I love you for that because you don't know how frustrating it is to like watch them spend 5 episodes figuring out something you already figured out.
Yeah. A little
Did
bit.
you mean Death Note?
I don't know. Death Note usually did it pretty well, except that you know
The fact
things
that
about.
you've known that Light was Kira the whole
Well,
time.
but that's because he's the protagonist of the show.
I know, but it's like they just keep hinting and hinting and hinting and then drawing back and then hinting and hinting and
Well,
hinting and
to be
hinting.
fair, there aren't really like the only reason L goes after him is because he just has this suspicion, because like
I know,
look,
but it's like
you
yes,
remember
you're
he's-
correct. Go for it. Go. And they don't
he's
hear
doing
You
like
can't go for things without any assumption. Part
Yeah,
of
you
Death
can.
Note, no, part of
L
Death Note
can.
was pretty much the speed chess that those two were playing against
I
each
actually
other.
love Death Note very much, but
But I agree, it's a big tease.
it is. It's they're teasing us the whole time.
Like-
you
Just
can't
holding
have
it right out of
I heard.
reach.
Yeah.
Here's the keys. Here's the keys.
And
No,
then
they're not.
near
Here's the keys.
happened.
Here's the keys. I put them in the toilet.
We're not gonna talk
we'll,
about it
we'll
here.
not talk about the second half of Death Note. No one wants to talk
Yeah.
about the second half of Death
That's
Note.
going to require another
I
episode.
want to talk about the second half of Death Note.
No. But then we get to episode 4, which, is more training stuff. And another really funny moment I liked was when Eren and, what is his name? Reiner Braun, they go up against Annie, and Eren gets his ass kicked. And then he's like, oh, Reiner, you have to show her, like, what it is to be a soldier. And he's got, like, that really sunken in look in his eye. Like, the author seems to like doing that, where he just, like, has this sort of dark humor going on throughout the show. So I like that a lot. And Clara pointed out something to me that I did not notice at all the first couple times I watched that episode.
There you go,
But
manga panels.
if you watch it very closely, when
It's one
Annie
frame.
when Annie flips Eren over her like back, there's a like half frame shot of her covering the back of her neck with her hand, like female Titan does, as she's flipping him.
They
so
literally
even
tell you in that one panel,
even that
hey.
early, they're hinting at it, which I thought was really pretty clever.
I thought it was awesome. Like, I didn't catch it the first time I read it, but then scrolling through Tumblr Attack on Titan stuff, someone's like, guys, look at this. And so it just blew my mind.
But see, I think it would be a lot easier to notice in manga form because it's a still panel, whereas
But
in the
even then,
anime,
we
it's
have
literally.
no suspicion about anyone else or anything at all being Titan related with humans.
I guess I think at episode 3, we didn't even know the truth that the neck was the weak point of the Titan. Like,
Oh, yeah,
we
we
learned
didn't
that
know
in that
anything.
episode.
So
Yeah.
it's just like, oh my god, you guys are clever.
That episode pretty much dumps what we know, what humanity knows about Titans up to that point.
It was either episode 4 or 5 where they dumped the
Yeah.
Titan knowledge.
Info dump.
Yeah, which they had to do at some
Episode
point.
4 was where I was getting kind of tired of Eren.
Really? Because he has
Well, no,
he has a
it's
nice
because
speech with John in that episode.
He
that
does.
I like.
He talks with nice speeches, but what bothers me about Eren is as big as he talks, he fails so much.
Well, but would you rather have him be like a Naruto who, gives the big speeches and then always wins most of his battles because
Well,
he's the
no,
protagonist?
but what's bothering me is that people still listen to him, even though he's not really the best source,
Yeah.
And
Well,
people even call him out in that episode. Well, weren't you talking big? Weren't you saying that people should go home if they're not strong enough to fight the Titans? Well, you're not strong enough to fight the Titans. Maybe you should go home, Eren.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
well-
yeah, good point.
And
Aren't you feeling a little salty, Eren?
and you saw that, like, he was really depressed and freaking out in that episode that he wasn't going to be strong enough. It turns out in the end it was failed
I know.
equipment.
It's just- Eren was a roller coaster too, but it's still on kind of fall on the side. He's weenie.
I know.
Weenie.
He's not like he's not a protagonist to write home about, but I don't dislike him either.
At
He
least he's not
serves his
Shinji,
role.
right?
Yes, he's not Shinji. Thank God.
Actually, my feelings about Eren are kind of weird, because
said.
especially
Tell us how you really feel.
Clara, do you ship it?
A little bit.
Okay, see, Clara ships it.
Claire ships everything.
Clara's
Clara's
seal of approval.
Just the Armada. Anyway, and getting into when we get into I guess this can serve as a transition to the next section of episodes, like the attack.
The
on-
Trost episodes.
Yeah, the attack on Trost. Because it was about halfway through the attack on Trost, and here's the spoilers, when Eren dies, every character on that show was, oh my god, I'm too scared to fight the Titans. Sudden burst of inspiration. Let's go. Nope, too scared to fight the Titans. Oh my god, why are all my friends dying in front of me? Why can't I do anything? Well, you can do something. No, I can't. I'm too scared right now. And it's like every single character did that for like 5 episodes straight. And I missed Eren's I'm going to murder them all attitude and his can't quit spirit. Because that would have been a refreshing change of pace. Because literally every character at that point in the show was just, I'm I'm too scared to do anything right now. And it got on my nerves after a while.
Because that's one of my favorite speeches that Eren does is in episode 4, right? They graduate, and he's like in the top 10 and everything. And he's talking to somebody. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to join the Survey Corps." And he's like, "Well, what are you thinking? You're going to go fight the Titans? You're actually going to fight them? Everyone's going to die. Like, we don't stand a chance." And he's like, just because you think you're going to lose, you're going to not fight. Like that's this whole like if I don't
say
fight,
that, Eren, because you died the next fight scene.
Congratulations. If I don't fight, there's no chance I can win. But if I fight, maybe I can win. Like that's where his whole spiel there comes out, which it's sort of a thing. Like just because humanity is on the losing side, does that mean you're not going to fight to protect humanity?
It's a nice thing to say, but I don't know. Well, the Trost was also where I was really starting to dislike him because he doesn't really treat everyone else really nicely either. I'm going to bring up that Mikasa scene again where he was like, nobody cares what you want. Just being an outright jerk to the only family he has left. That's one of the things that didn't sell me on Eren.
You're talking about in episode 5 when he tells her to that she needs to go be with the elite guard at the gate.
Yeah, but it doesn't make me like Mikasa that much either because if you remember episode 2 where she didn't take his crap and shove a piece of bread in his mouth to this where he takes too much of his crap.
I don't know. I actually like that scene in episode 5 because it is sort of a thing where Mikasa is putting her family obligations, like her personal feelings, above the mission, if you will, And Eren is sort of seeing more clearly than she is, like, you are one of the elite guards. You have to go defend the citizens. This is your job. You go do that.
Yes, but did you have to scream at her and tell her nobody cares what you want? Like, really?
Yeah, it was a little
Treat
too
someone
much.
with a little more respect than that.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
I know.
man.
Yeah, and what bothers me is how much Mikasa just goes with it. Mikasa follows Eren whatever she does whatever Eren does if her commands will let her do, and she takes too much of his crap. It kind of bothered me that Mikasa went from taking none of his crap to taking too much of it.
That's because that's her whole thing. Like, she's there to protect Eren. Like, she says, if you join the Garrison Corps, I'll join the Garrison Corps. If you join the Survey Corps, I'll join the Survey Corps. She's just following Eren, to protect him.
And also, I've told you before, that makes Mikasa pretty one note, and honestly, I think they could do more.
Yeah, they could do more with her, certainly. She isn't the most developed of characters, but she
the
makes
one
up
who
for
kicks the most ass.
Exactly. She's the biggest badass in the whole show.
Oh my God, Levi.
Except when Eren
Haikyuu.
dies.
No.
When Eren
Levi's
dies,
the
she
best,
gives
man.
up hope, runs out of gas, and...
Well, yeah, it's like he's the last person that she had left in her life. What else is she gonna do?
Well, maybe he
Nothing.
shouldn't have been a weenie.
Yeah.
Well, in
Like,
his
I
Too late
think-
for that.
Some Titans,
In his defense, fighting Titans can actually be kind of hard. At least he didn't freeze up
Yeah,
5
I know.
seconds into
It's
the
just,
fight.
I don't like how Eren treats the people around him. That doesn't sell me for him
I
as a
know.
main character.
Well, it's a tough situation because he is blunt, and that's part of his
he's
character.
a ball of
Hey,
rage, and he does whatever will allow him to kill Titans.
But he cares genuinely about his friends. Like when late in the series, when they reveal Annie is the female Titan, he's the one who's most reluctant to believe it. While everyone else is fighting her, he's like he can't turn into a Titan because he's so he doesn't want to fight her. He still is friends with her. He still thinks no, this can't be happening. He has these bonds of friendship, so he's got that sort of going for him. And I kind of like that he's. He is kind of blunt and rage-filled sometimes and stuff, but I like that sort of a protagonist better than the typical goody two-shoes, always going to do the right thing sort of character, because that's just boring.
Well,
At least
like I
he's
said,
interesting.
I've never said that he was poorly written. I just said I don't like him. If he was a person, I wouldn't like him.
Oh, I might not like him either, because he's very in your face and, shut up and
So,
listen
he's
to me.
not always my favorite protagonist to run with, which is why I'm glad every now and then they'll jump to other characters from The Graduates.
True.
Oh,
Sorry.
You can go. Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, which brings me to a point I brought up. He's not in the show a lot. I was thinking about the overarching show, and he just does not. I don't feel like he's there a lot.
He doesn't do a lot,
Like
really.
especially in the second half of the season when we get to the rest of the Survey Corps, it almost feels like Levi and Armin became the main characters, and
Well, because in the second half of the show, he's become the special person who has to be protected. So everything's focused around we got to keep him protected. Keep him away from the action unless it's absolutely necessary, and that's why he wasn't doing anything until female Titan comes after him, and then he kicks some ass.
And then it's just in the first season, during the attack on Trust, he's dead or a Titan for most of that fight, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of things happen to him that part, so he doesn't actually,
It's
prompt
not until
things.
even after the anime is
Yeah.
over that he actually kills a Titan on his own.
Like more receptive than
I mean,
active.
honestly, Eren doesn't do a whole lot as far as the anime goes.
Well, let's think.
When he turns into a Titan, yes, but he himself doesn't do a lot.
Well, you always say that, but the biggest support for Eren, as far as being Eren, not Titan Eren, is one of my favorite moments in the show. End of episode 4, everything seems hunky dory, and he jinxes himself by saying, humanity is going to move into the future. We can win. And of course, Colossal Titan comes in right at the worst moment.
I'm here to spoil the mood. Don't mind me.
And while everyone else is like gaping and like in shock at what's just happened, he's the one who says, mobilize, and flies up there and, confronts the Colossal Titan, goes and almost kills it before it disappears. So that's a moment where Eren takes initiative and is a badass and almost, just kills
I need more than one moment. That's the only moment he gets.
Well, the reason he only gets that moment is because later that episode he dies, and then from there on he's Eren Titan most of the time because that's his role in the show at that point. So it seems like you just don't like the fact that he becomes Eren Titan. Eren Titan becomes the sole focus of his character later on.
Well, yeah, Eren Titan does become the sole focus of a character, and it's the only thing most people even care about for him.
Because
it's the only thing that can happen. Humanity's the only hope. Yeah, whatever. I just don't like the guy, really.
Apparently. I don't know. I don't know, because obviously the reason I don't like Shinji is because I just think he's completely unlikable at times.
Are we back to Shinji again?
Yes, we're back to Shinji again, But,
well, maybe there's a lot in common betwen Shinji and Eren.
No,
you don't want to admit it, but there are things that just make him unlikable as a protagonist.
There are things that are similar, but Eren has a combo of likable and unlikable qualities. He's, devoted to his friends. He does want to protect humanity, whereas Shinji gives up on humanity and lets all of humanity die. So he's completely unrelatable at that point.
That's true.
And Eren, so he's got a lot of good qualities. He's got some bad qualities too, But I think that shows.
While we're on Ava and Attack on Titan, I do want to take this note.
Oh boy!
When
Here we go.
Lady Titan bites off the nape of Eren Titan's neck, it kind of looks like a eject plug from the Ava, doesn't it?
I guess so. Well, it's
yeah,
right
and
at the
she
neck.
even bites it. She even bites it out a similar way.
The neck and the head.
Well,
yeah,
it's a whole theme of writing something bigger than you that happens in a lot of
freaking Titan, Eren.
Yeah. Japanese.
Get in the freaking Titan, Eren. Just fight. Everyone's already died because you were indecisive. Nice going.
Yeah, well,
it's a Kaijun Kyojin complex. You have to write something bigger than what you are in many ways, either flesh or pods or capsules.
I saw no
robots.
See, as much as you say that Eren didn't do much in the first couple episodes, he honestly could not do all the much. He could not use the 3D maneuver gear yet. He was not even part of the whole survey corps.
I don't exempt the first 3 episodes, but at that point, we didn't have any achievements of his. We only had his personality.
Right, but he
hasn't
hasn't had the chance to do anything yet to make him do anything likable. We've only had him in situations too big for him to comprehend. So once he does get the survey gear and once he does become Titan, he's able to do things and save people and be a productive member of the whole thing.
If you're going on to watch 3 episodes first rule, then it doesn't really give you a lot to work with, a lot to like from Eren.
But you say, he doesn't do a lot. I'm just going to try to count it up in my head here real quick. Okay, so he fights the Colossal Titan. He becomes Eren Titan, kills a whole crap ton of Titans, Then he stops the cannonball. Then he becomes Eren Titan and blocks the hole. And then in the second half of the show, eventually he becomes Eren Titan, fights the female Titan, loses. Fails. And then later on, I guess in the second half of the show, he really only does 2. There's only 2 big fights with Eren.
So
that's kind of true.
Eren is still a babby in his whole Titan phase. He just became a Titan. He doesn't know how to harden his skin. He doesn't know how to do any of that stuff.
We don't even know if he can harden his skin.
Oh, I'm sure he
don't
can.
Know.
But he just doesn't know how.
Colossal Titan and
we just haven't seen them do it. Maybe it's something only Annie can do, but I kind of doubt it.
Annie, spoiler alert, Annie's female Titan.
Well, we already gave spoiler warning. We already said Eren dies during the Titan.
The whole thing is a spoiler.
It is everything about these. I don't even know why we say
you can't even
talk
about
I know.
You can't even talk about Attack on Titan without spoilers because every episode or so they'll give this big wham moment. Oh my god, this thing.
I know. Well, that's what I liked about the show because I think for the first 9 episodes of the show, as far as pacing goes, it's going on all cylinders. Like, it was really good through those first 9 episodes. After that, it deviates a little, slows down a little. That's where the show.
Did you guys ever
goes
read all
downhill a
that
little bit.
information in between?
I would always
cutscene?
read them. Yeah.
I was like, okay.
I did when I
alright.
could.
I read most of them.
I could when I could, but honestly, it didn't detract anything from the anime if you don't read.
Yeah,
any
I
of
mean,
them.
it's mostly supplementary information.
Yeah.
You know, but
pretty
it's
cool,
good.
too.
Good to know. You know,
It's good lore.
yeah, it shows me that the animators actually are thinking about these things. Like, you know, it shows how the 3D maneuver gear like works and like what the cables look like inside. So it's like they've thought about like how this might actually work in quote
And the
unquote
best thing
reality.
about it is that we can recreate those things.
There you go. In real life,
Shall
we
we
can
need
all
them?
be Spider-Man.
Spider-Man with swords. So
I do want to talk about the pacing, especially in the Battle of Trost, because how many episodes did Trost go for? I think 9.
yeah, it's from episode 5 to 13.
Yeah, I think we could have shortened that a little.
But-
One episode I am going to, and you can defend it all you want, but I still think really could have been condensed, is when Eren turned into a Titan. He couldn't control it and was kind of just sitting there.
No.
We spend the entire episode going into his psyche, and he's just kind of like, I don't want to move. It's warm in here.
Actually, I want to bring
I
up.
hated that moment.
Isn't
Well,
that,
yeah, it's like well, basically, I don't mind that it builds character and everything. What I do mind is when I saw the recap in the next episode, it told me everything I needed to know when I was ready to go. And there were a few episodes like that in Attack on Titan. I think some of these episodes they really could condense a little more. The second one, I am going to give it the cross because it does develop a little more as far as Titan form goes. The second one was when they're being chased by Lady Titan and they're like, believe in us. Oh, yes, that's right. Flashback. And then the episode ends with them, I'll go forward. Good for you, Eren.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Andrew?
I was gonna say, in the first time when he's just sitting there in that episode that you're complaining, isn't that the one where, like, they show him how him and Mikazu's met?
No, that was an entire
What-
episode.
when
on
yeah.
its own.
The Mikasa episode was like episode 6. Like, he died and they did Mikasa's flashback.
And
Yeah.
can we talk about that for a minute? Because
Sure.
that came completely out of left field.
What, you think the flashback came out of left
No,
field?
no, not just the flashback. Like what happened in the flashback. Like, okay, look, like so she gets kidnapped, and that's horrible, and that's awful. And then he shows up in the door
terrible.
and murders them all.
I know,
Like
it was-
that step from her, like that caught me off guard. I'm like, why are you a sociopath, and why is this never talked about again? That you're clearly a sociopath.
You need help.
I know. Well, that was something it was an interesting aspect of that episode because, yeah, I mean, Eren goes right up there and kills him, which is actually, it's part ways horrifying because he's like a little kid, but part ways kind of cool because it's like he actually can take action. You know, most little kids in anime would just sort of be like helpless, you know, but he's like, you know, you got
No, but Eren's special.
But
well, his bloodlust.
I mean, seriously, like since he was a kid, like that old, like as Clara would say, a wee babe,
A baby.
a baby.
What's in the
Baby.
basement?
Yeah. Well, I saw webcomics
That's
about
the,
that.
that's
What
the
happened
big
there?
question.
I mean, do you think that whatever his dad was experimenting on him to make him a Titan
That's what I
made
wanna
him
know.
more bloodthirsty?
No, because when we saw the flashbacks of his dad doing that stuff to him, that was after
No.
Maria had fallen.
No, but we don't have any context for when those scenes took place.
That is true.
You mean the
Wait, no,
The
never
scene-
mind. He did say you have to go back to the basement. So I guess it happened?
No.
Yeah, but we never really know exactly when.
Yeah.
I guess we don't know when. I assume it was at because it when we were shown the flashbacks, it was basically episode 2 ended with or had the colossal titan smash through the wall, fade to black. We fade up on his fever dream of his dad doing whatever to him, and then he wakes up and it's like after they've moved into Wall Rose. So that would make me think it happened after Wall. After Wall Maria was destroyed, but before they got to Wall Rose, because at some point in between there, his dad goes off to Never Never Land, and we have no idea where he is.
And never talked
Yeah.
about again.
Well, he'll
no,
come
they
back
talk about him
at some point.
They talk about him again when the basement becomes an important thing.
Well, yeah,
again.
and then when they decide that yes,
But then
this is our
they-
mission.
They
Yeah.
stop, looking for it after a while, and it's like,
Well, the whole
they can't really get back to Ziganshia.
Shinganshia.
Gigantia.
Yeah.
And that was mostly because of Lady Titan.
Yeah, well,
I kind of wondered if Lady Titan was purposely preventing their approach to
That's-
the laboratory,
that's
but
what I
I guess
think.
it was just to get Eren.
it's probably a combo of both.
I have had canon that Eren's dad made everyone who's a Titan right now a Titan. He's leading all of this, and he's trying to fight back against Titans as humans, as Titans, totally like the Eva stuff. And that's why he's gone.
That's interesting. But then why?
And wherever that Colossal Titan, spoiler alert, and other Titan, was Armor Titan and Annie are trying to take Eren, that's where his dad is.
Interesting. But then why would the Titans be attacking, humanity if he wants to use the human Titans to attack Titans?
Actually,
we don't know.
I'm sorry,
Not even
Clara.
the manga's really
That
shed
doesn't
light on
make-
why they would attack humanity.
doesn't make any sense because the dad leaves the day the Colossal Titan attacks Shingasa.
Well, he had gone to
Zigantia
go
district.
heal, he had gone to go do doctor things to
All right,
someone
so
else.
he
That's the
told
Colossal Titan?
everyone.
Yeah.
Do you think he's experimenting it on
think
everyone
he
like
is.
Mikasa? Because I'm still waiting for Mikasa to become a Titan.
I know, because I don't think
No.
so. Because I
doesn't
believe
need to
after
be
after the Colossal Titan or the Armor Titan scene, we see a shot of his dad on a cart, going through the woods, Eren, Mikasa, please wait for me, or I'm sorry, or some sort of scene where he was obviously concerned about them.
The thing is, though, that things that have not yet been revealed in the anime,
Don't say anything.
that I can't say because all you don't read the manga, go against.
You don't like reading.
They hint about some type of confusion with the people who really are the Colossal and Armor Titan. There's a lot of internal turmoil there, and a lot of confusion and almost amnesia.
Well, when we were, this is skipping ahead a little bit, whatever. When we saw Annie's little flashes in episode 25, it seems like, was she talking to her grandpa or her dad?
Hasn't really been explained.
I don't know, but
It's some male figure. in
whoever
her
that
life.
was, he was apologizing to her and saying, the world will hate you, but please, just come back home, eventually, or something like that. So it was making me wonder. He says, the world may curse you and hate you. So it's did he experiment on her? Does he know that she's a Titan? Was she a Titan at that point?
I think his dad's in charge of this whole organization. There's more people who know about these Titan things, but they're probably either dead or not inside the city.
One thing I do like is that even before they, at one point, they do outright state that Armored and Colossal are probably shifters the same way as Annie and Eren are.
Oh, they are,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, they are. I mean, no big spoilers there. But what I do like is even before then, if you pay attention to the effects that play when they transform into Titans, it is the exact same as when
it's
the
the
Colossal
yellow
Titan.
lightning,
Yeah,
yeah.
the yellow lightning. It's the same as when the
Will
Colossal
they ever
Titan shows up.
combine,
Tengentopa Gurren Lagann.
But they almost did one time, right?
Well, Annie started fusing with
Yeah,
Eren's
they
flesh.
gave
That
us
was
a hint
not
of
the manga.
what they could do.
I
See,
see.
the thing is, though, is that, I don't know, in the manga, it doesn't actually do the lightning thing, so I was like, why is there lightning? But
Lightning's cool. That's why.
Yeah.
It's very, very indiscreet, though.
Yeah.
There's no reason there should be lightning. I don't see the reason for lightning.
Just it looks cool.
It looks well. At least it's also
That's
that
a good
subtle
reason.
thing where
Cool is a
you can
reason.
kind of connect that these people were humans before they were Titans, or vice versa. Vice versa
lightning is
could be
cool.
a thing.
Yeah. Real.
You got to make it look cool somehow. It's an animation medium.
Well, and it is
Cool.
Tetsuo Araki, the guy who directed Death Note and Guilty Crown and High School of the Dead and all these shows. So, real quick, since we're talking about these big questions about the show, what do you guys think are, as far as the secrets of the origins of the Titans? Because personally, I definitely think that at some point they all the Titans were humans, and then maybe because I have this theory that because when Annie was killing some of the soldiers in the forest, there's a distinct scene where she bites someone and then spits them out. So I was wondering, if when you're in Titan form, you have this urge to eat humans, it's almost like a vampire thing, how they want blood. So and if you eat a human, then you lose your intelligence, and so all the dumb Titans are people who used to be human Titans, but then ate humans or something and became. Although then they couldn't eat humans during the 100 years when they're locked out, so maybe that theory is not right. I don't know. I think all the Titans were humans at one point because they all have very
They
human
might have
faces.
gone beyond their, they could have completely gone mad. It might have been eating humans, gives you power and satisfies those cravings. It might have been a whole, biomass, not biomass, but, what am I looking for?
I don't know,
A huge,
it's-
a warfare type thing. Because this is, kind of an alternate universe, but, the world is pretty much post-apocalyptic. I can say this word.
zombie
You
apocalypse.
know what I'm trying to say.
Post-apocalyptic.
But, so who's to say that there wasn't, super mega technology before all this. Like, we
yeah.
have
Apparently, if they were able to build the wall like everywhere and underground, they must have had super technology.
Yeah, actually,
Right.
that's a good point. Like,
So,
what
like,
happened before
who's
that?
to
Then
say
why are there
that like
titans in the
humanity
wall?
hadn't tried to do this to like wage war against other countries, and then it just became this huge mess, like zombie apocalypse like things.
Yeah.
And then all the people who got turned into titans could not keep their minds.
Well, I was hoping they might explain it in the second half of the show because the ending of the second half, like the ending animation, shows like these images of things that look like Titans, like written in like hieroglyphics, like basic cave paintings, And I was like, oh, that's like secrets of the Titans. Maybe we'll learn about that. And it's like, no, none of that.
Anyway, that
Spoiler
theory,
alert, not yet.
Clara's theory is quite interesting because I was thinking the same. Like the whole thing could be just another way of weaponizing or trying to weaponize something, and then
probably
things
war.
go out of control.
Kind
As
of
we
like
usually
the
do,
Hulk.
humans, we screw up.
Remember, people, war is bad.
Yeah, really.
See, I thought it was interesting though, because we were operating on the assumption, kind of similar to you, is that there's like a secret society of people that are like can turn into titans, and somebody like the titans seem almost artificial, because the desire to eat only humans for no purpose other than just to eat humans should not exist in nature. So that seems artificial.
Yeah. Well, the fact that they can.
Here's what I think. I think the parallel to humans isn't entirely incorrect because we, as humans, are the only other creature that eats for. Or it's the only creature that eats for pleasure.
Right, but
And they do make a point that Titans eat not out of anything, no other reason than feels good.
True, but we don't really know how they survive because it does seem a little artificial in that they can literally apparently survive without eating anything for 100 years, and still be moving around.
So we were operating at the secret society, and that Eren's dad was a part of it, and it's his job to like.
Speaking of secret societies, even though this one isn't secret, Wallace is the funniest name I have heard for a religion ever. The Wallace.
Is that their actual name? I didn't know
Yes,
that.
that's how they refer to them. The Wallace.
Nice.
They
The
don't want you to
Wallace.
touch the wall because the wall is a gift from
When
God.
they
It is
preach
sacred.
together, they sing and they have the little things.
They are in 3 circles,
so-
just like the wall.
And when they all got crushed in the
Wallace.
church, oh my god, I love that
But
moment.
the thing though is that they said that the wall was built like 100 years ago.
Well, they definitely said the wall was finished, like, Titans stopped coming 100 years ago, and I think they said they appeared 107 years ago.
So the thing
So-
is like most of the people who were around when the wall was built are probably dead.
all
Are
of them
dying.
are dead.
Yes. Unless like
Dead or
you're
dying.
baddies. So therefore we don't actually know what helped build the walls. And now we know, hey, there are titans in the walls. So they might have been humans at one point who volunteered, or they could have been just some type of like, I don't know. Because it said, I don't know if they've mentioned this in the anime or not, but titans are very weak after the sun goes down.
Yeah, you mentioned that. That wasn't mentioned at all in the anime, but makes
Yeah, it
sense. Was it?
Yeah, with the whole Sonny and Bean thing when they were
Yeah, yeah.
experimenting
Yeah,
on
exactly.
Titans.
Bean.
They made a
Or
point.
Bean.
They made a point to see what would happen when they were deprived of light.
Okay.
And they were weak.
Oh, you're
He's
right.
right.
And they
yeah.
couldn't move all
Okay.
that much.
Yeah,
I was wrong.
that Titans
they killed
completely
them.
shut down when the sun goes down.
That's why Annie
Side
killed them.
note, Zoe is like my favorite character besides Annie.
Who?
Yeah.
Zoe. Or Zoe.
The one that looks like Sasha, except
Hanji.
she's the scientist.
Hanji with the glasses.
Hanji, okay.
She's
Hanji.
so cool. I like it.
She's
I
so
always
fun.
call her Hanji.
She
Yeah.
is so fun.
She savors
gosh.
every.
Well, I love it. I think it's episode 14 when Eren's still in his jail cell, and it's
And
just
she
like,
just magnetizes to like the bars.
Yeah.
No, I have like so many reaction gifs of her saying like, "Heard you were talking" in explicitive, and like, I hear Titans or just like Titans, and just her just running.
Did somebody
up
say
to the-
Titans?
Yeah, or just like, what tea did you want and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just
Like
really
drooling over
overreactive,
them.
like bold fonts that are flashing. and
well, it
makes
actually made
really
me kind of
happy.
sad when Shawnee and Bean were dead, and
I
she's
was
like
so sad.
screaming and like
Spoiler
crying.
alert, it was Annie. But
I love this. I love the scene where it was the flashback episode, but where she was going to have Eren transform into a whale so that they could freely analyze without him going nuts. But the scene that they show is Eren kind of stuck in a wall. But if you look closely, she's like, it's like a little GB, and she's just like, whoop, both arms in the air.
Nice. Real quick, I want to rewind a little bit back to episode 5 just to talk about reactions. Because I don't know about you guys, but I didn't spoil myself at all, so I had no idea that, when Eren's doing his awesome, charge with a 3D maneuver gear and then gets his leg bitten off by that one Titan, and then everyone starts dying, and then he goes and saves Armin and, gets eaten by that old man Titan or whatever.
Santa Titan.
Push
Yeah.
your right arm in, you get Aaron's arm cut off. All right, I'm done.
So-
I saw that on Tumblr and I wanted to say it for like 2 weeks.
Because for me, like, I remember because I was watching the show like every week, like as the new episodes came out, I was watching it. When episode 5 came out, I was like literally like stunned afterwards. Like I've never been more shocked like at the end of an anime than I was at that, because it's like, did they just kill the protagonist? Like, oh my god.
Episode 8.
It's
Yeah,
time for
that's
Mikasa
true.
to become the protagonist.
That's what I thought too at first.
I was hoping.
Yeah. I was like, okay, like that guy, he
They
was
can do
cool,
more. They
but
could do more with Mikasa.
yeah, because it
Well,
was like,
My house.
What was interesting was like, because in the back of my head, I was like, "There's no way Eren's really dead," you know, like there's no way they killed the protagonist. But I was sort of theorizing, like, well, what if Mikasa becomes the protagonist? What if Armin pulls a Simone from Gurren Lagann and goes from being this wimp to being a badass after someone dies?
We
You
we
know.
said the same thing when we were like me and my friends watching it, and we were like, he's probably not dead because he's got like some crazy power or something. He's not dead
He'll shonen this
But-
somehow,
because
and he
he's
does.
because like it can't be the Gurren Lagann thing, because Gurren Lagann, like, Simon was very clearly the main character for the whole series, and then
We
when
saw it from his point of view.
Yeah. So with Eren dying, that kind of just like throws like all, because at that point he was the character with the most development at that point in time. I mean, like afterwards it happened, but they do a really good job of like just not mentioning him, like just not like making it seem like he's dead for like the next couple episodes to make you really think that he's dead, so that when he does come back to life, it does seem like another twist.
Yeah, I don't know. Jorge, did that? I mean, when you watched episode 5, did it affect you? Like, were you freaking out, or did you like know, like, oh, he's not dead?
like I said before, I wanted to have my mind open to that sort of a twist of who's gonna be the main leading force in the show from that point on. But I had like mixed feelings about it too. It's like, okay, this cannot happen. I mean, I was like, okay,
Yeah, unless you're the Coen brothers, you don't just kill your protagonist.
Yeah.
you
I was
know?
all for it.
that would
really.
have been, yeah. I was like, sort of part of me wanted that to be.
But
the
even in There Will Be Blood, they don't kill him until near the end of the movie. You know, they go
Well,
kill
my
him in
thing-
episode 5.
Well, my thing is, they kill him, then immediately afterwards, they do this flashback with Mikasa, and I'm like, setting things up for Mikasa to be the main hero?
Yeah, exactly.
Why not?
Mhm.
I mean, I would have accepted that.
Yeah, I would have taken that. You know, it's like, oh, thank you. You know, cool.
Mikasa's cool. She actually kills things.
It could have been interesting if they gave her some more depth, because as you said, as she is right now, you know, she's pretty one
Well, after that, I mean, her
reason for living would be gone, I guess, after that she found
yeah,
a
she's
new
still
reason.
she's still pretty. Protect my stupid brother.
And even if like we have had Eren died in that point, Mikasa would have had even more reason to become even stronger to like, you know, avenge him or something. So
It
Right.
did kind of see, like, when she was talking to Armin, she said thank you, and then she reiterates what Eren says, so it
Yeah.
almost seemed like she was going to continue Eren's quest from that point. But then she runs out of
Didn't.
gas, uses it prematurely,
Well-
sits there and contemplates death as
Well,
a Titan
that was a
comes
sad
over.
moment.
We'll talk about that. Jorge has to go here because he's got a cinematography thing to go do. But before you go, real quick, just give us your overall thoughts on the series as a whole.
I, you know, from the first time I saw this huge thing called Attack on Titan, I was like, you know, so taken aback by its awesomeness. And like I said before to you many times in class too, it's like, oh my god. I mean, that cannot be real. It cannot. I mean, I just can't really.
Yeah, it's I don't know. For me, it's just one of those shows where, like, yes, it has a good number of flaws, but when it's good, it's
Which
really,
flaws?
really good, and you know, it just drags you into it and makes
Yeah, totally.
captures your
Well,
imagination.
it just
and
stood out,
everything.
man. It just stood out from the
From the
beginning. I was
crowd,
like,
yeah.
mhm.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you for being with us, Jorge. Even though
Thank you
can't
guys.
stay
It's
I'm
been a
gonna stay near
pleasure.
the
The whole
microphone.
Yep.
Yes, now
Bye,
For
Jorge.
Clara.
it's
Bye,
actually
guys.
Clara, I see it. It's just trying to leave me.
I'm
yes,
sorry.
yeah, it actually works out well since Claire
Now
can now
I'm
have
shipping.
a mic. Clara ships everyone.
She does ship all the things.
All right,
Who
awesome.
do you ship the microphone with?
But what's
Microphone pop filter OTP.
OTP all the way? What you're saying though about with Mikasa's like the flashback episode, you know, and then the episode after that is where she, you know,
Bye-bye.
It
Bye,
almost-
Jorge.
It kind of almost seems like the anime's teasing us with the possibility of Mikasa being a protagonist.
Well, which they probably were, because if you buy into the idea that Eren's dead, it's like, well, it's either got to be her or
Yeah.
Armin, you know, or maybe Jean.
Well, I think it
John.
kind of had an opposite effect of me, because at that point I already knew the Eren Titan thing was coming up, so I was like, stop teasing me already.
so. Yeah, okay, so you were spoiled on that.
Yeah, you spoiled me.
I did. That's true. That was my fault. Because you mentioned something about Titans, and I thought like you had seen, you knew about it.
Yeah.
So I admit that was my fault. I feel bad about that.
Nah, it's fine.
Don't worry, I spoiled that Annie was a Titan.
Yeah, for me.
I'm
Thanks.
sorry.
What goes around comes around.
That's all right, Claire. You could have spoiled it for us because we figured it out after like
Aw,
2
thanks.
episodes.
Yeah.
Well, I think especially I heard in the manga it wasn't as obvious, but
It really wasn't.
in the anime they recreate her facial structure and expressions pretty well on the female.
Well,
Titan.
what's interesting was because I was watching Attack on Titan with my sister, and in the episode 17 is where a female Titan first appears. We thought at first that maybe it was Armin's mom because she goes down, lifts up the hood on Armin's face, looks at him, and then spares his life and walks off. And she had blonde hair. Armin has blonde hair, so we're thinking, Armin's mom went outside the walls, and died apparently. So maybe it could be her.
But the more they focused on, like I was thinking as I was looking at the Lady Titan, just that same half eye open expression that Annie had, the big blue eyes, the blonde hair, it's Annie.
Well, and it became
Cleopatra nose.
became more obvious as they
love
talked
her
about how
nose.
there was a traitor
I like her nose
inside
too, don't get me wrong.
inside the Survey Corps, and it had to be someone who saw Eren as a Titan on that day, and that Annie's the only one amongst them who joined, didn't join the Survey Corps. Like all those factors make it pretty obvious that she's the female Titan at a certain point.
I do want to bring this up, but just as a sort of side note, I marathoned most of Titan. How was the experience with waiting for it each week?
Well, I did want to talk about that a little bit because I think it's a different sort of thing, when you watch a show in a marathon versus watching it, week to week. Because when it slowed down in pacing, it was kind of frustrating because it's like, you look forward to the episode and then not a lot happens in that
I'm pretty sure you didn't not appreciate an episode, but I'm pretty sure when they spent the one where Lady Titan is chasing them and Eren does a flashback and just ends it with, "Okay, I won't be a Titan."
Right. Well, there were a couple things that redeemed that episode. One, the flashback actually developed him with
I didn't mind the flashback.
with them and his Titan powers a bit
The one I don't
more.
like the most is when Eren turns into a Titan about to lift a boulder, then just doesn't. They sits around the entire episode. I didn't like that one. And if I watched that week to week, that episode probably would have frustrated me. And there were
It does take quite a long time in the manga too, though.
Yeah, I don't know. It does frustrate me, but then...
well, there were points that I think Attack on Titan could really improve on its pacing, because there were times, even if it wasn't week to week, where I was just like, okay, we get it, get on with it. I understand the point you're trying to get across.
It's interesting, though, because you've seen Steins Gate, right?
Yeah.
The biggest criticism I hear about that show is that, the first half of the show is slow. Like, not a lot happens. And for me, personally, like, I love the first half of the show. Like, it actually does a lot of time travel, like, stuff happens in that, and then also establishes a lot of character, which you need for the second half.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of those people who say that are the ones who watched it week to week, because I could see if you're waiting a week between episodes and you're just getting small chunks, it's a lot different than versus watching 6 hours of Steins Gate in a row on Hulu. You know?
I think especially with the Lady Titan, because there was a long time just sitting in the fields, people trying to get their crap together.
A little bit. I don't know. Andrew, you marathoned the show because you weren't watching it week to week. Did the slowdown bother you?
It didn't. I marathoned it too. It didn't bother me, but I could tell this is something that will bother people from week to week.
Which slowdown part are we talking about? Like when
which
Eren's
one?
on trial? When
What I would sort of consider to be the slowdown points are basically from episode, what is it? Like episode 10, 11. Yeah, 10, 11, 12, and then 18 and 19. Those are the 2 points of the show that I feel are slow, because 10, 11, 12 is the aftermath of Eren, doing his little, where they've got all the guns pointed at him, and they're yelling with the commander guy back and forth. That's like that episode where that stupid smoke doesn't clear for like the whole episode, even though it's supposed to clear in like minutes, which I always kind of laughed at.
No. That did kind of get on my nerves, but since I marathoned it, that didn't bother me as much. Actually, what bothered me the most, and I did mention this already, is the Battle of Trost.
Just that it went on long?
Because it was like, how many episodes was that? Did we ever figure that out? Like
9 episodes at least.
Like 9 episodes long.
Yeah.
And
eight
least
episodes.
6 or 5 or 6 of them were just, I'm too scared to do anything.
But you say that. See, I don't think of it as like, all those episodes being one big battle. I think of them as, specific events, because like, you've got episode 5, which is the one where Eren dies. Episode 6 is Mikasa's flashback.
That's all well and good, but there is a point where you kind of sit there and go, will you do something already?
Well, no, I love that this show decided to show the true horrors of war and how people actually react to it, and I love that. But there needed to be, from a thematic and dramatic standpoint, there needed to be one character that stood out from the fear.
Well, and I think you got that in episode 7, I think it is, because that's after the flashback. Mikasa shows up. She learns that Eren's dead. Everyone's all depressed, because they don't have their gas, and the building is getting raided by the Titans. And then she gives a speech. Charges off.
She does,
and they all follow her.
She does, but then 5 seconds later, in the next scene, everybody, her and everybody who followed her just stops.
They
Jean
give up
just
too. So
stopped, and they just gave up.
No, but Jean doesn't stop. He questions his own. Sorry, John. He questions his own. He questions his own decisions because he's am I being good as a leader? Because he's seeing some of his men, getting eaten or whatever, and he's sort of having this crisis. But they all make their way to the place eventually. It's not like they just stop there and get eaten.
I know, but there was at least one point during that where he just stands on a roof and is like, "Oh my God, my people are dying," and I'm like, "We know, but we've listened to you go through this whole thing."
Well, not him specifically, but we've listened to a lot of people give the same deal.
We'll get to Marco, yeah. But that's something I liked about John, though, because as Marco says at one point, John is sort of the everyman. He's not like Eren. He understands the people who are weak more, maybe than Eren or Mikasa or those people do. And he does doubt himself. And you get that early on, but then after Marco dies, he sort of solidifies his resolve, and he's kind of a badass in the later part of the show.
I really love John.
I love him.
I think John's probably my favorite, not my favorite character, but my favorite development-wise, because you see how he develops from this weak guy who's just going to go into the military and live his life comfortably to actually experiencing the horrors, and from experiencing the horrors and losing some people, chooses to change his resolve and actually be a part of the action.
Yeah, no, I agree. John's development is probably the single best development in the whole show, I would say.
Yeah.
I like Armin's the best, but...
Yep, Armin's is really good too.
I do like Armin's, but I do think Armin's was rushed a little more because they needed him to be smart for the second half.
But I liked his developments, the direction they took.
And he was always smart. The thing I saw change is in the first half of the show, he was less confident. He would stutter more often or be less. He would be like, "Are you sure? That this plan is right?" And then more in the second half of the show, he was like, "I know I'm right." And he was more determined and confident. He would say his mind and not be scared of what people thought of him. He was more serious, which was cool.
Yeah, I know.
See.
I love him.
I really liked in the episode where they do go to the gas room storehouse. You get that shot, because like you mentioned, I love it when they show the desperation of the humans, and the people who feel like they can't act and stuff. Because you get that shot of a bunch of the cadets hiding in the room, and the Titans are clawing on the windows. You see this guy cleaning a rifle. They're like, "What are you going to do with that? You can't kill Titans with that." And you just see him put it in his mouth and shoot it. It's like, oh God, it's so dark. I love it.
I remembered it. I remembered it different. I remembered him fixing his rifle, and he's like, it worked. What are you going to do with that?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went.
I think I understood it was dark, but I think I laughed a little because he's just like, it's working. Oh, what's he going to do with it? Okay.
Just horrible.
It was horrible, but
And that was also an episode where you really saw Armin use his smarts, because he's the one who comes up with the plan to use the elevator as distraction while the rest jump from the rafters to kill all those Titans in that room.
And then we see the tragic end of Moe Titan. Let us have this moment of silence.
You liked Moe Titan?
Moe Titan was hilarious.
Kawaii Titan?
Because it just... I know, I can understand why people call it Moe Titan, but the way it stares at people, it just bears down on you. It's kind of creepy.
It is very
It's not cute except for the eyes. It just has these enormous eyes.
Yeah.
I like how silly every single Titan looks. Did you see the part where it was Titans in the background? It was in a later episode, and I saw it on Tumblr, and I just lost it for probably 15 minutes. It's just them running across the background, but they're just bouncing up and down. Their arms are waving frantically in the air.
Well, you said you liked the one from when the one that Mikasa has to stop from attacking the gate.
The Fabulous Titan.
Yeah, just going like this.
Oh my God, I love Fabulous. I love Fabulous Titan.
It was a great moment because J-Con was playing and the people who would watch it knows it was coming. People kind of talking. There was shh, shh, shh. Then we just see this guy walking across, and then Fabulous Titan just barrels into the screen. Everyone was probably laughing for a straight 2 minutes.
I think the part I like the most is you see there's a random guy on the ground. He just comes and kicks him, and he just goes flying off screen.
I think my second favorite Titan running was when they were retreating from the Lady Titan, there was a Titan who kept running, but he was just hugging himself the entire time.
I do remember that.
Do you remember the Titan that was crawling across the ground towards Sasha?
Vaguely.
Oh, the one that
Yeah.
burst through the house.
It's absolutely terrifying. People are always like, Sasha's like a big coward. Would you not be terrified if you saw that crawling towards
God,
you rapidly? When
I
you were
really
running
wish they
away?
did more. I really wish they did more with Sasha because
Don't worry, there's more with Sasha.
there is. I know there's more with Sasha.
Oh yeah, you read it.
But
Sasha.
Sasha.
Sasha
But,
is cool.
Yeah, but the only parts they show her is her being her most vulnerable in the anime.
Right.
They only show her being vulnerable.
You bring up, the Titans look dumb and stuff. Because just today, actually, I was like glancing, like, well, because I'm debating on whether I should read the manga or not.
it.
Well,
it doesn't take any time at all if you just.
I know,
continue where
but
the anime left
I
off.
just flipped to a random chapter. I hate the art style. I hate it. It looks so bad.
It's the same as the anime.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It's just not in
I
color.
can show you a comparison, like the way his line. I don't know. It's sort of like
It's
very
sketchier.
sketchy.
I like it, though.
I
The
don't.
anime
like
was
it.
very. The anime was pretty
No,
sketchy too. No,
it
when
had
you
very-
had close, when
it
you
had
had
very
close-ups on
hard-
them, they had like cross hatching under their eyes and everything.
True, but they had very hard, like striking dark lines around them. Where I don't know something about
Honestly,
the style
the
of the
thing-
manga I do not like.
The manga,
Personally.
just go with it seriously because
Yeah, I'm gonna
It'll
wait.
Save you so much
Because
time.
I've heard, from a lot of
The
people
worst-
that the anime is better than the manga because when you get to see the 3D maneuver gear scenes in the anime, obviously look way better than they do in the manga because it's actually in motion.
I think another
It's so
thing
pretty.
is he draws Titans weird. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I got a direct comparison with some of them. I won't spoil who, but you see one Titan again. But it's like the arms look very, very small in comparison with the torso in the
They
manga.
are, though. Like, all the
Yeah,
times
they
funky
are,
looking.
but it seemed a little less pronounced in the anime how tiny their limbs were. Like this Titan almost looks like he couldn't stand up because
I
his
remember at one point,
limbs
this
were
is
really
later on, and like
short.
there are certain characters hiding with certain other characters in a tree, and it's nighttime. The Titans are trying to like bear hug the tree to climb up it, and I'm just like, what do you think this is, Mulan? Get out of here! And they have to keep like kicking them in the face
Be
and
a
stuff.
man.
And like they'll end up like they'll just keep falling. They're like, wow, that one's getting a little higher than that time. Maybe it'll make it this time. And
It
it
seems
just, like,
they
snap.
can learn.
Apparently.
Maybe that
They
or
can
they're
learn
just
to
that
climb
desperate,
trees.
or they're just that desperate.
Yeah.
I don't know. They do another thing that supports the human argument is Hanji does kind of point out that Sonny and Bean reacted to things a little differently.
Bean.
Like they were almost completely different people personality wise.
Right, yeah. No, I definitely think the Titans are human somehow. The just
I
question is how and
definitely
why
think
and
that.
Agree.
what and all those.
If you read the manga, you'll understand why, but you won't because you're an art Nazi.
Well, it's that, and also because I try not to spoil myself with the manga. I want to, when the second season of the anime does come out, I want to experience it.
Yeah,
fresh.
but you're saying
But
that
I
could
want
be,
to talk about it
but
with
honestly, you could
you.
that could easily be 2 years. It took me one afternoon to catch up with the manga.
I'm sure
you
could,
may as well.
I could catch up if I want to, and if the wait gets too agonizing, I might. But I don't know the visuals. He's a great writer, obviously, but visually, I do not like the look of his art. I'm sorry, just a personal thing, I guess.
Hi, Joe.
Okay. So, can I shift the discussion to my absolute two favorite characters in the entire series?
Let's hear it.
Do it.
Erwin and Levi.
All right.
Levi.
Levi Jenkins.
Isn't Erwin?
Isn't Levi supposed to be like 35?
Yeah, he's 33.
He's
How-
supposed to be 35.
He's
seriously?
so short.
Well, it's not just that he's short. He looks like he's in his 20s. He's not like 35.
Well, yeah, his face is very free of wrinkles and mature features.
We
don't care
except
about
his
nothing.
bra.
we refer to him as Napoleon because we think he's based on Napoleon, like as
He
a
probably
character.
is a little bit.
Oh, I do want to talk about one of my favorite moments with Levi. You guys know Eren's not really my favorite character, but there were times when he was screaming at Mikasa where I was just kind of like, "Will someone please punch this guy?" Fast forward to the courtroom scene, and Levi lays into him, beats the
crap
living
out.
crap
kicks
out of
him
him in the middle of
face, and it
court.
made me
And I'm like,
laugh.
you just became my favorite character, sir.
He was
And then he's a
already
huge neat freak.
the best.
Yeah. Well, the scene, I've seen so many parodies online with him cleaning.
Attack on cleaning.
Yes. It's everywhere.
Attack on germs.
Yeah. So, yeah, he was cool, and Erwin was also cool,
I love him.
in that, it was interesting in the forest episode when everyone was like sort of doubting him, like what is he thinking,
That keeps
sending him off into
happening.
the forest, and like splitting us up and everything.
Actually, that was one of the things that got on my nerves after a while. It's like you keep doubting Erwin. Stop that. He's the best leader in this whole
that-
show.
For our characters, this was their first real mission, so they didn't have a reason to trust him yet. Notice after that mission, they realized like what he was trying to do, and when it came time to do the Annie mission, everyone was gung ho for it. You didn't see any doubt.
But remember when, like, after the forest mission, and he was like, "Well, we're gonna have to leave the bodies because logistics." And everybody's like, "No, we can't do that." I'm like, "No, he's being a smart and intelligent leader, and I love him for that because he is like the
it
best."
might have been butts and all that, but I mean, it's either take these dead bodies and then we also become dead bodies, or we can make it back and maybe come get them later.
And lo and
just-
behold, the two friends who went back for the body, one of them did become a dead body.
See, it's that irony.
Yeah,
thing.
honestly, that's episode 22. That's one of my favorite episodes
is.
just because it was so dark and depressing.
Oh,
It was,
especially
but-
with Levi. Poor Levi. He had to
Oh my
watch his
God,
He had to see his
him.
dead squad mates. He had to ditch their bodies. Then the father of Petra walks up to him and tells him how Petra probably had an influence.
That was actually my.
And Levi doesn't really have a lot of change in expressions, but just the way he drew his face in that scene was just kind of like it all
Ouch.
coming to him. And I was
No,
like,
and then they show
That
like
was-
all their like family members saying, "I wonder if insert name of dead person's
Stop
coming
doing
home." I
that
was like,
anime.
Why would you do that?
Why are you doing
What
this
made
to
you
us?
think that was okay?
do you want to twist a cigar in us?
That was my favorite episode of the whole series so far.
Oh, yeah,
is
because-
22 because just everything about that episode was just
No, I
so
like
good.
things that hurt as much as I cry about it and whine about how much it hurts.
Clannad.
Oh my God, we're not gonna get into that. We should get into that, but not right now.
No.
Watch
Listen to the
it,
rants.
darn it.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
love it.
It's not my favorite episode. It's one of my favorites for sure. The part that I like the most is like because originally they're taking the dead bodies, then the guy goes to get his friend's dead body, comes back, is leading the Titans, and then they all have to let the bodies go to appease the Titans so they'll stop following them, and like that whole scene, and then he's really depressed afterwards, and Levi gives him the Wings of Freedom badges, and he's like, "This is all you need. This is all I need to you need to remember them by. It's as good as their corpses." And he like takes the one of his friend, and he's like crying,
Like one of the things I like about Levi is that a lot of his suffering in that scene is completely unspoken. All you see are his expressions, and
Yeah.
it's
He
really
doesn't
not
talk
that different
much.
from
he's
his
a man
default.
of action.
But it's just wide eyes and everything.
Yeah.
Also, he laid into Lady Titan, and it was awesome.
Oh, that
kicked her ass.
The Levi had been badass before, but that was where I was like, "This is why he's the best."
Is the best.
He is
like,
the best.
like before that moment, I was like, I want to see Mikuza and him fight because that would just be like the best fight to watch. And then when he did the Lady Titan thing, like, never mind, she would just die in 2
Like,
seconds.
Mikasa-
Well, she was
Mikasa was even really raring to sink her blades into the Lady Titan, but when Levi started going at it, she just kind of stood there and was like, "This is why he's the best."
Nope, I'm not doing it. I can't do
Well,
that.
to be fair, she was pretty effective against Lady Titan too, because at the end of
Yeah.
episode 21, she was chasing after her, cutting her
Yeah.
all over the place, trying to get Eren back. So
I know, but Levi just being this really powerful character, something tells me something bad's gonna happen to him later in
I
the
don't
series.
want that to happen. 'cause
Probably.
he's
You
my
don't want it to
favorite.
happen, but I'm sorry. He's like the mentor character almost. This is what the Survey Corp guys strive to be. Something's gonna happen
Well,
to him.
I know.
The
but
thing is, though, you know what Titan I'm talking about, but the one that talks
yeah.
and the one that howls.
actually, that was a thing. There's actually an OVA episode of Attack on Titan coming out in December, and I was reading the description the other day. It says it's someone's journal, and it's about somebody meeting a Titan that talks. That's all it said.
that's not it, but I know what you're talking about. They did find a journal,
Okay.
and then we're gonna find out about Ymir.
That's an OVA
And
episode.
Oh,
Krista.
Ymir's the OVA.
No, that's something
Stuff?
else. But like the next season, if they're going to do one, hopefully we get into that because
Yeah.
Ymir's probably one of my favorite characters.
Well, yeah, like the anime did the manga touch on Ymir up until the Lady Titan part? That's one of the things that struck me when I read the manga from that point is that they never really talked about Ymir, but Ymir actually becomes very important.
Like she was there,
Interesting.
but like she wasn't like because Krista wasn't there. The
Like,
fact that
the
if
only
Krista's
time
not
I
there,
re-
she's not there.
yeah, the only time I really remember her is during the Battle of Trost when Krista says something and they hug. That's the only scene you really
And
get
like
from
Krista, let's
Ymir.
get married, and she's like, "What?" And I shook it
Everyone
so
wants
hard.
to marry Krista.
I also
No, Ymir and Krista OTP.
the cap for me on episode 21 as far as sadness goes is where Eren and Mikasa are looking and they see the little kids looking at them just like they looked at the Survey Corps when they were young, and Aaron starts crying. It's
that
like,
was the best.
oh,
No, just that whole
He's like,
scene.
no,
They
you don't want
was the
even
best.
know.
Yeah, because I just like once again how Titan explores like the darker side of like war and everything. You know, like the aftermath of the battle. You know, like you do have to take the corpses home. You know, you do have to deal with that. Also, it was really effective in episode 13 after Trost when Jean is there cleaning up afterwards, and he finds Marco's dead body, you know, and the lady's like, you know, what is his name? We need to know the names of everyone. You know, she's being so unemotional about everything, and it's just like that's just the way you have to be because there's so many corpses they need to go find. You know, and I like the idea. Like some people don't like it when like characters like this happen in Harry Potter, where like a major character will die off screen, but I sort of like it in that it shows that that's what happens in real war. Like not everyone goes out with a hero's death. Some people just die.
Actually, I think they do kind of nod to what happened to Marco.
Vaguely, they don't show it on screen.
They said that Annie had Marco's maneuver gear, and Marco was found cut completely in half.
No, he wasn't. He was, well, I guess he did have part of his body missing, and he had a weird like smile on his face, like he looked like Titan-esque almost.
Well, I think that was just part of his jaw missing, but I think it's Annie who attacked Marco.
Well, I
took his maneuver gear.
So she attacked him and took his because she did have Marco's maneuver gear.
Yeah,
but I thought that
she did that to avoid, and she did that so that she would avoid
detection, right? But
from the spies.
I assumed that she just somehow grabbed his gear like after he died, but before they did the inspection.
There was that weird scene actually somewhere in Trost where they kind of pan to some of the characters doing things. But it really confused me because they were just kind of panning to characters just because, and they weren't really flying or doing anything.
Yeah, throughout most of the show, like the animation is great. I do recall specifically in episode 13, and this happens one other time at the forest. They do these things where they'll like you hear characters moving and like they're obviously doing 3D maneuver gear stuff, but then it just pans basically like the sky, and you're just hearing these things. It's like what's going on? Animation budget.
I want to talk about the I do want to talk about the forest, especially with the Lady Titan. When Levi is attacking the Lady Titan, it's the same animation as when his squad mates were attacking the Lady Titan. It's because both the same thing happens. She gets pinned up against a tree and falls down. The same animation is used.
Mm-hmm. Well, I did see a thing on Tumblr where it was like showing like Erwin looking, stern or whatever in a close-up or whatever, and they just changed the backgrounds and it just showed like they're using that same frame, just changing the backgrounds based on the situation.
Disney does that too, though. But
yeah,
I'm not against
that's an anime thing in general.
I'm not against animation shortcuts, but I did especially notice it when the Lady Titan fell against a tree twice. Look back on it; it is some of the same animation.
Okay, I'll have to. I didn't notice that when I watched it, but I'll have to.
I did.
The thing is, I don't know if this happened in the anime. Did it ever show the female Titan doing Annie's double fist up pose?
Yes.
Okay, because that's when Eren was like, "You are Annie."
Yeah, during that final fight, she does, and she does
and
it.
Then
I think
she
one more
kicks
time.
his head off.
Of course, because she is Banff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's like honestly, if
I had
to
Lady Titan.
like as far as favorite episodes go, like episode 24 was really good. Episode 5 was really good. Episode 22 was really good. But I think my favorite might have to be episode 21, just because like. You see Squad Levi doing actually a pretty good job against female Titan, and then they all start dying, and Petra dies, which of course is the one that hurts us the most. It's like the creators knew that. They all die, and Eren finally becomes a Titan, and they start this battle, and it's badass. And then, she kicks his face in, and grabs his body, and like Mikasa chases after her. Like that episode was just nonstop
as
awesome.
As much as it annoys me, like how much Eren can't do things, it's believable because this is something very new to him. He has not had the years that probably all these other people have had to like, because it's pretty obvious Annie's been doing this for a while. Like she impulsively covers her neck. That's not like something you learn in 1 week. Like just
and the hardening her skin thing.
Oh yeah, that's like we don't know.
I kind of chuckled at the hardening the skin thing, and it's not because I found it unbelievable in the anime, but because there was something else I read, which it was another shonen where basically they kept on increasing the hardness of their armor until it was diamonds, and they were like, "Ha! You can't hurt me now because I'm toughness level 11. Diamonds,
diamonds,
diamonds." And so when I saw her hardening her skin and it and it turned out being diamonds. I was like, ha, you can't get me now, Eren. I'm toughness level 11. Diamonds. Diamonds.
Like, I like how Eren's not, like, super good at this all that. Yes, like, there's always something for him to strive for. Because if he was just magically super awesome at being a Titan, that would be the end of the series. Cool, Eren's a Titan. He's mastered this. GG, guys. But, like...
I wish they would give him time to master the things that he does do,
right,
though.
but it's also
I wish they would
believable.
let him master maneuver gear before they... I wish he got better at the maneuver gear
Well,
and
the
then
thing
got
is, like,
better as the Titan.
this
But now the
situation
manga's
is,
even
like-
introduced a third power.
This situation
So it's
does
like,
not
stop it.
warrant like any time for that though. They're in a stressful world where Titans are now breaking in.
Yeah.
It's not that like 100 years of peace they
And
used to know. They're literally everyone is just thrown into this all of a sudden.
I do like the fact, like, you know, it does make Eren and really the Survey Corps in general look a bit more incompetent. But that's because like they kind of are. Like I like it when I forget his name, the old bald commander guy during Trost.
Love him.
No, he wasn't.
The
He's
general.
like the
Yeah.
head of everything.
Oh, you mean
he's the
Dot
garrison
Pixis.
head? Yeah, Pixis. Thank
I
you.
love Dot Pixis.
He's
cool.
you know, when he was talking to like his commanders about like his decision to do the, you know, closing the hole in the wall thing. He's like, you know, I've spent my whole life losing to the Titans. I'd like to win a battle for once, you know, because it's like
He's like, YOLO, guys.
Humanity constantly loses, you know, and even the Survey Corps, like even with Eren, they constantly lose or at least don't succeed in their goals. You know, they kind of have half victories. You know, like they stop Annie, but they don't capture her, and she freezes herself in a block of crystal. You know,
We sealed the wall, but we already lost a lot.
yeah, you know, well. And I like that they show that, like, you know, we sealed the wall, but we lost like thousands of people, so it could hardly be called a victory, you know. Or with
It's
doesn't
very
want you to
believable.
be
If it was like,
happy.
oh guys, everything's good now, it wouldn't have that same impact. Like the victories wouldn't be as sweet, and like they really wouldn't have more motivation to keep going. But because everything is still absolutely broken, it's like we still have all this to fix. It's not over yet, and we got to keep going.
You're obviously a fan of Annie. Here's a question I have for you, because she's the one way back in episode 4 who brings up to Eren this whole hypocrisy of the system, where the best people, the people who should theoretically be the best at fighting Titans, are the ones who have to get to go to Walsina and don't fight Titans. But then, in the end, she's the only one of them who actually joins the military police. So isn't that kind of hypocritical of her?
Well, the thing is that with Annie, like, ever since the beginning, she was like, yeah, I'm just doing this to ensure my own survival, which is why I liked her, because she was like, yeah, I'm doing this for me, guys. Oh, well. And I'm like, I like your sass. So
Quick question. Don't give me like spoilers on like what happens, but do those like, because in episode 23 they introduce this squad that's with Annie's squad in the military police, and they give them a little bit of development before they go away from her for 24 and 25. Do they come back? Are they important at all?
Not really.
not really, no.
Okay.
That's kinda
I
sad.
think it is something
They
that'll
might have been
reoccur
there,
because
like, the
they do-
background,
they
but-
do bring people back now and then.
Right.
So I think it is something that'll come back again later, but as for now, they're kind of on.
Because I liked how she was saying like, you're like this friend I know, you know, comparing him to Eren, you know, who just does things
I
impulsively.
like this
you
idiot I know.
Yeah, pretty much.
She does say that,
but it
doesn't
shows
she?
that she does have a certain respect for Eren.
Right, because
Yeah.
he is pretty much everything she can't be. Like,
Right.
he is impulsive and loud and wants to do the right thing, and she is trapped in this situation where, yes, she is working with the other two Titans.
Right.
Yes, she is not in a position she wants to be in, and she
She can't
accepts
do
this,
anything
and she
about it.
can't fix this. So, yes, everyone's going to hate her, so she's putting herself in a place where she will not have to be in the front lines. She won't have anyone have to look at her. But then Armin's all like, oh, hey, I notice you. And she's like,
Yeah.
guys, you found me out. And that's why she just retaliates.
Which they did pretty well, actually. At least for me, because I didn't realize that they were trapping her until they went underground. Like,
Yeah.
it was only then that I realized, oh, this is a trap. Because I thought I was buying into this whole idea of like, we're going to make Eren escape or blah blah blah,
Yeah.
whatever their excuse was.
That was
Then
pretty awesome.
Annie smiled.
Yeah, and laughed in a very creepy way.
It
I
was-
love Annie.
It was creepy, but at the same time,
It was cool.
well, no, it was like we have never seen Annie smile. So
That's
and-
why I liked
Yeah.
it.
So on one hand, it was like, aw. On the other hand, it was like,
That's probably bad.
Actually,
No, actually, though, there was a part in the I hit the pop filter. I keep hitting this pop filter.
It
There's,
hit
a,
the
there's a
manga.
part in the manga where Eren, they leave this out of the anime, and it would have been really cute, and I'm really mad they didn't, like, animate this. But it's Eren, like, gloating about, like, getting a kick right, and he's like, come on, no, that was completely sloppy, B-. And he's like, what, you want to show me how to do it? He's like, yeah, I could teach you sometime if you want. And I'm like, aw, bonding. And that never happened. and I was very
Wait,
upset.
was it the same kick
Is-
that she used to remove his head?
It might have been.
Is there a possibility of a thing there? Because Mika's seem kind of jealous, and she
Like,
has Annie seems kind of infatuated with him, and I don't know if it's just the
The thing is-
justice thing or is
I
it.
think that goes back to like him just being what she can't be. And like remember when like Levi was going away from her, like she was crying and she was just pretty much running away from her, like running away from what she had to do this whole time. Like she could have just killed everyone if she wanted to. She could have killed Armin, but she didn't want to. They probably would have preferred if she did, but she didn't.
Yeah, it showed that she does still have some connection,
Well-
like friendship with these people.
Yeah.
And then, like, when she was crying, it's like, well, now I failed. I've got to keep doing this. I'm never going to be safe. Like, I should have been able to complete this and go back to my life. But now I have to keep going. And she obviously does not want to keep doing that.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because in episode 23, she goes on that big speech about how you have to defend the just and how she doesn't want to see all of the random people be like swept away and for them all to be remembered as humans.
Which is, like, why I think, like, she knows something we don't.
She does clearly know something.
And
we
now we're
don't,
never going
and-
to find out. Ha-ha.
Oh,
Annie, you
playing.
tease. You cutie.
Yeah, and I did love
You
like
can't interrogate me now. Toughness level 11. Diamonds.
Pretty much, like, she's just been running away this whole time. And Eren's being, like, him and Armin are, like, the ones who are like, hey, you can come with us and you don't have to run and hide. And
Yeah.
she's like, I wish I could, but I just can't.
Yeah, well,
Turns into
it
Titan.
was so frustrating because you so wanted Annie to like turn to them because Armin and Eren were both like, come to our side, was trying to convince her like, don't do this, blah blah blah, and then Mika's just like, enough talk. She draws out her sword like, let's fight.
Let's do this
Mikasa.
already.
I do
Eren,
kind of
I
Annie
wish
is not
Mikasa
your
would bond
waifu.
with someone
I am
else
your
other
waifu.
than Eren.
I do kind of like that like a lot of the badass characters in Titan are females. It's kind of a
yeah.
nice change from most
It is.
shonen-y
It's great.
shows.
And they're not fan serviced at all. Like even
Not in the
Lady Titan,
least.
even Lady Titan.
Yeah, no, not
Actually,
re-
Lady
at
Titan is
all.
probably my favorite Titan in the anime because Lady Titan kicks serious ass.
Well,
She really does.
She's the one who gets the most screen time of any, special.
Yeah, I
Titan.
know, but she still kicks
Until
serious
later.
ass because she knows how to fight these guys.
Right. Well, yeah, because I think they even make at one point, she knows our 3D maneuver gear moves because she was, one of them. So yeah, she knows what they're going to try to do, and that's one of the reasons I really loved episode 24 because it did sort of seem like, to me at least, they basically contrived a reason for Eren not to turn into Titan in episode 24 so that they could have some scenes of the normal people fighting Annie before, Eren finally did it and started fighting her. Because the episode 24 had some of the best animation in the show, in my opinion. Like all
Like the
those
double flip.
like that crazy flip thing, or like
my God,
Mikasa,
that was so
going
cool.
through the rocks.
Oh, another thing about Annie, I just want to note: when you have Lady Titan pinned down under a bunch of nets and spikes, do not stand on her head and taunt her. They do this twice. Levi stands on her head and taunts her. She gets out of it by making other Titans eat her. Hanji does the same thing. She breaks out of it immediately. Don't kick these Titans when they're down. Gosh dang it.
Yeah, well, apparently, I guess her legs weren't totally bound 'cause she was just able to kick her legs out and break all the nets and things.
I know, but she also kind of lays there until someone starts taunting her.
Yeah, well, that's dramatic writing. More
I
than
know that's
anything,
dramatic
but-
writing, but I just found it funny how they do it twice.
Yeah, well, because I think when Levi's doing it, he's like scaring the crap out of her in his Levi way,
Yeah.
I love Levi.
Yeah.
Levi's awesome.
But, episode 24 had some great animation. And then I loved at the end there where Eren, is like, moving up through that spike and like bleeding everywhere. And he looks really evil. And he's like, screw like morality, you got to put that aside, got to fight, whatever, bites his finger, lightning comes down, music blares, and then he comes out as Titan and punches her in the face. It's like, yes.
Eren Titan looks really awesome in the last few episodes because they kind of had this like molten effect that was happening around his eyes and arms.
Especially 25 where he's like on fire, like going after, like as he's like lost a leg or whatever. Like that was awesome.
I don't think they actually had that in the manga because I did read the Lady Titan fight, at least in the manga. That was an added effect with the anime with his regenerating, kind of looking molten and everything.
Yeah.
Well, that looked cool.
It's
'cause
just an effect thing.
It
Yeah, it's an
added
effect,
the
but it was
fire and
cool.
ice kind of symbolism because she was real cool and collective, and he's all real fiery and passionate, and so him on fire and her using the crystal thing, but it kind of looks like ice too in a
Yeah.
way.
Because
So
that's one of the things, with the whole theme that like Eren, isn't the strongest, but he like tries harder, and has more spirit than anyone else. Like when he's fighting Annie in the forest, she does the crystal punch thing, like punches him like in his jaw, and then he moves his jaw like down her arm and punches her in the gut and sends her flying. So like there's a couple times where like he gets hurt badly by one of her attacks, but then still keeps going and hits her back, which I love.
I think probably
Those
my
fights
favorite
are
thing
so
that
cool.
Eren's done like in human form after he's become a Titan is just regrow limbs. Like right now he just regrew his arms and legs. Like he had them cut off for reasons I can't tell you. But yeah, and he just regrew his
Yeah,
arms.
I know what you're talking about.
And he's like, this whole time, he's like, I need my arms. And they're like, well, too bad, we cut them off.
Well,
And he's like, meh.
I thought that was kind of a cool thing in the trial because at the very end, Zoe, is that what her name is? She's
Hanji,
like,
yeah.
Hanji, just
yeah,
call her Hanji.
Yeah, messing with her with his mouth, and she's like the tooth grow back, the tooth that Levi had knocked out, So yeah, he's
Sweet. This
just
means Levi can beat the crap out of him as much as he wants.
just be the punching
Just
bag.
make 10 hours of that.
Actually, one thing that I was kind of confused about with Eren being a Titan is what I'm blanking on her name. The she experiments on all the Titans.
Yes, Zoe.
Yeah, that's
Hanji.
Hanji. Yeah,
We'll go with
I
that.
don't know why I forgot her name.
Everyone calls
Anyway,
her Hanji.
Hanji is why didn't she okay, Eren, you're gonna turn into a Titan, and then I'm going to cut you open and see how it works on the inside.
She wanted to.
Yeah,
But, like,
'cause
They didn't
remember
want to risk it.
Eren,
remember the episode where
he grabbed the spoon.
Yeah, he was trying to grab the spoon and then accidentally made himself like half Titan. He doesn't know what
needed
he's
to
doing.
go by.
failed to realize is what there was no spoon.
Oh, da-da-da-da-da-da.
But there was a spoon. Like, the thing is that they didn't realize that's what he was doing until, like, later when they're like, he was actually, guys, he was reaching for this spoon.
I was kind of mad at them for that, like the Levi squad people, because they're like yelling like, Eren, what the hell are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, he's just like, yeah, it just was an accident. I didn't mean to do it. And they're like, oh, okay, why didn't you say so earlier? Ha, ha, ha.
No, they
blow
did
it
bite.
off.
They bit their hands in response.
Oh,
I
that's
thought,
right.
I thought it
like,
was cute because they
symbolic
did kind of go back to the bit arms after they were all dead.
Yeah, and
Bit hands.
You brought up earlier, the episode where Eren's like debating like should I act or shouldn't I? And I agree. At the time, it was kind of a slow paced episode. I was kind of a little bit bored.
I did enjoy the flashback. The one I'm still the most mad about was the one back in Trust. But the other reason was because it basically boiled down to Armin saying, "Remember what we were doing?" and went back to a scene they had already shown us, which was basically the crux of the
No,
episode.
I agree. That I still don't quite understand why Eren went into his little dream state there. It really was never
Yeah.
explained. But
Well,
with
he did get his face blown off, which is, like, brain. So,
know.
like,
I wonder
it's
if
a
it-
lot to regen. Like, one
I
thing
w-
is fingers, the other thing is, like, an entire skull.
I wonder if, because they had shown earlier, like he had gone in type form a couple times and obviously tires him out. So I wonder if the third time he done it in like that day, he was like just
Nope.
not in, he didn't have the energy. So he was just sort of like sleeping.
Yeah.
Because he
there.
did attack Mikasa, too, so he's definitely was out of it.
Yeah. So I guess that's the
Or maybe he
best
just doesn't
explanation. I
like
could come up with.
Mikasa.
But the point I was going to with the forest scene, because you've got that episode where Eren's like, should I fight or shouldn't I fight? He chooses to trust his comrades. And I was a little bit iffy on it like you. But then in episode 21, they bring it back because he's like, I trusted my comrades.
And then my comrades died.
And then they all died, So it brought it back narratively.
Well, yeah, I think it was also it was kind of a lesson to him, a cruel one, but it was a lesson. I do remember Levi did say in that situation, "Do what you want. No one can really tell you what to
'cause
do.
he said-
you need to decide on
'cause
yourself."
he said he
I trust
did-
in my comrades because
He said he doesn't always know what to do either. Like, does he trust in his own power or trust in his comrades'
yeah.
power?
Like
So he
that
wasn't
line right
really
there.
he wasn't really directly telling Eren to not go Titan. He was saying it's up to you. You need to kind of make that call.
Like, that line
Right.
right there where it's like, do what you want. I hate when my parents do that to me. Because pretty much my entire life is like, oh, Clara, we want you to do these things and do them. And I'll be like, okay. And so when it's like, hey, I don't actually want to do this thing and I want to do this other thing, they're like, all right, do what you want. And it's like, yes, you can do what you want, but we're still going to be mad if you don't do what we want you to do. And I'm just like, this isn't really a choice, guys.
Oh, I know that.
Guys.
Where
And
they-
I feel like that was the exact same thing with Levi. It's like, yeah, Aaron, do what you want, but you better listen to me.
yeah.
And listen to these
I
guys.
think
better
that's
listen to
Screw
me,
this
'cause I can
up,
kill
I
you.
will cut you out.
yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, I like how, in the courtroom scene, like they're having this big like legal battle, and then it's basically like the final justification for it is like, well, could you at the military police kill Eren? And they're like, And he's like, no, I'm the only one who has the strength to kill him, so that's why he should be with the Survey Corps. And they're like, well, he's got a good point. All right.
I
But
like your reasoning.
He just wasn't afraid to kick the crap out of him right there in front of all of us. So he obviously means business.
Like even
I'm
in,
the only one that swears to kill him.
like even in the beginning when Eren accidentally tightened when like they shot cannons at him and stuff, like they were like, "Oh, you're obviously a villain. Like no matter what, you're just a villain." They're like, "No, guys, this could be a good thing." They're like, "Nuh-uh, this can only be bad." And so like they don't even like give it a chance. It's like these like headstrong, stubborn adults.
It's because of that commander guy. He was like,
he was the worst.
It was because of that commander guy. Armin did sway
worst.
most of the crowns, but the commander guy just couldn't trust it.
No, but it's like at the same time, like I
he's
get
got some
why.
problems of his own. I mean, his eyes. It looks like he hasn't gotten sleep for like years.
Like I get why it's like something very shocking. Like all this time, Titans have been.
It might also just be some
inhuman.
sort of subtle thing between the youth and the adults. The
Right.
adults are usually the more stubborn ones, other than youth.
People who do it just drives me crazy in animes when it's like, oh hey, here's this thing that could potentially help everyone. Nuh-uh, it's dangerous and we don't know what it is and it's different, so no. And it's like,
Well,
are you
I like
kidding?
in this case, it's not. Most of the young the young troop guys are just kind of like, maybe this could be good, but then an adult tells them otherwise, and they're like, okay, but then Armin tells them otherwise, maybe it should be. And the adult is ultimately still the stubborn one who doesn't want to believe it because all he's known in his life is Titans are bad.
To his credit, I mean, he's obviously being overly fearful and everything, but to
Like,
his
I
credit,
understand why, but-
Eren turns into the skeleton form-looking Titan. Like, I would probably freak out if I saw someone just turn into that thing too. You know,
But the fact that they were saying, guys, we're not going to attack you. We just want to talk. They're like, nah, let's shoot cannons, guys. So like,
which is another thing I do actually like about Eren, because in that episode, like he's like talking like, okay, we've got two different options here. Either Armin, you can convince them, or I'm going to turn Titan and run away, basically, and like it shows that Eren, and like the whole bit where he's debating like, should I fight or shouldn't I fight? Should I trust my comrades and stuff? It shows that Eren isn't totally the type to rashly rush into situations. He does actually think about his actions before he does them, which I like.
Sometimes.
Other times he just charges in and whatever, But he
I don't know.
doesn't do that
wish,
all the time.
I kind of wish they would settle on one or the other.
But I think that's more human, though.
It is very
sometimes
human.
you're rash, and
Yeah.
sometimes you think. It's not usually one or the other all the time.
that's what I love so very much about Attack on Titan. It's very human. It's not like idealistic heroes or idealistic villains. There is no good, bad. It's very gray. And while that can be kind of annoying, like, guys, I don't know what to do. Let's spend like 3 episodes trying to debate this. But people do that in real life. Look at our Congress right now. They're done goofing up all over the place.
This is where I'd keep my government if I had one.
Exactly. And
I
it's,
saw that.
It's just very, very human. Like, all the reactions are realistic. They're not like, guys, there are these monsters here. Let's all attack them. It's, no, let's get our butts out of here before we die. And we're probably going to die anyways. But we're not thinking about that because we're irrational and terrified.
Yeah, well, it's like the self-preservation, tactic of humanity is number one. They sort of show that like most people are just too afraid of Titans to do anything about
I'd
it.
be afraid of them. Are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah.
they're terrifying.
Although, like,
I want to kill them.
I
though.
will admit, I do agree with you sometimes, Andrew, because I specifically remember, I think it's episode 13 or 12, one of the later Trost episodes. Connie, like, does something like save John. John. And he, like, swings and hits, like, a Titan in the head and, like, is, like, leading it away from John. But it's like, that Titan was distracted, like, looking down at John, and you just rammed into its head. You could have just gone, like, a couple more feet behind it, got its neck, and killed it. Like, why didn't you
not
kill
the
it?
most competent of fighters.
I
though,
know, but he was
which
in
is
the
why
top
he
10.
and Sasha are so fun together.
It was. Wait, was he in the top 10, Connie? I think he was, wasn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah,
so,
Connie
yeah.
was in the top
Okay,
10.
yeah.
Another
so
thing I
he
love
should be
about Sasha
competent.
is when she saves that guy when he falls off. Like, because they've said Sasha excels in unique things and not group things. So when she just saves that guy by shooting through his leg, yeah, it probably was really painful.
Yeah.
And like, but that's the only thing she could have done. We weren't going to reach him in time. He would have splatted before anyone
Yeah.
got there.
She saved his life, but it still looks like that would hurt a lot.
Yeah, but at least it'll heal. I mean, it's not like
It's only a flesh
irreversible.
wound.
It's only a flesh
It's
wound.
only a flesh wound.
It's only a
you
flesh
could have been
wound. To
splat
quote Monty
bug
Python.
person.
You could have been completely dead. Now you just need to be in the hospital for a couple days.
Yeah.
Suck it up.
Moving on.
Rub some dirt in it, take a lap.
Moving on to some other aspects of the show, I think we should definitely talk about, like I mentioned before, this director's Tetsuro Araki, is this pretty famous anime director, directed things like Guilty Crown, Death Note, High School of the Dead.
High School of the
Guilty
Dead.
Crown was also scored by the same guy,
Watching it.
and Guilty Crown also has a really awesome soundtrack. It's this guy named Hiroyuki Sawano, and he did the music in Guilty Crown. He's also done the music in Titan, and I love the soundtrack in Titan. It's so epic, and it's got some like nice, rock, like J-rock, English rock sort of like song pieces, but then also has this awesome orchestral music and a little bit of techno in there,
and German.
And
I
German.
do not remember any techno. What are you talking about?
That's not like real techno, but you
Like
hear like
poppier.
electronic-y stuff in his music. That's what I mean.
I don't remember. I remember mostly orchestral and
I
rock.
don't know. I'll show you some of the soundtrack. There's definitely some techno-y sort of stuff going on there.
Yeah.
Not a ton, but some.
I mean, mostly when they did sung rock music. Whenever I think of the sung rock music, I only think to when Mikasa was doing that, let's go get him speech, and then failed right afterwards.
Yeah.
Ran out of gas.
True.
So it's kind of like mood whiplash much.
a little bit. But then after she realizes, she gives up on life, but then she's like, I have a reason to fight, and goes up and does fight the Titan and whatever. So she redeems herself there. And that was also the episode where we saw Eren Titan for the first time. And as soon as I saw,
had no idea what it was.
well, as soon as I saw it had black hair and it fought a Titan, I'm like, that's Eren. Like,
See,
I thought it was,
Well,
but I don't
what-
like
what
assuming
got-
things.
What got me
Oh,
was
we do.
actually the eyes, and I think that's something important with every human who is a Titan. The eyes are usually the same. Eren still has his very fierce expression, and Annie still has her very cold one.
yeah. Well, I think even at the end of the episode, Mikasa says, it's almost as if he was like a incarnation of humanity's like desire to fight the Titans. It's something that's like, well, that sounds an awful like Eren, so that's probably him.
Don't blow Eren
I
out of
had
proportion.
two
He'll
theories
fail
at that
again.
point because I'm like, okay, it's either Eren. Like me and my friend were sitting there watching, and we both had the same theory, but he just picked one, I picked the other. It's like either A, it's Eren who turned into a Titan, or B, Mikasa can now control Titans. And I'm like, nope, you control those Titans. That sounds cool. Because when
funny
the
you say
Titan
that.
first walks up, she like yells something, and then the Titan punches the other one. Like the Eren Titan punches the other one, and I'm like, did you control that? Because that'd be cool.
I had a theory that it was like just a bunch of like rogue Titans who were like, we're tired of your BS and started beating up other Titans. But I don't know. I had
think the
no idea
technical
what it
term for
was going to
Eren's
be.
Titan form is actually the Rogue Titan.
I did like that. Another awesome Eren moment is when after they've finished getting their gas and they come outside the building, they see like all the Titans munching on his body, and then he sees the one that killed Thomas, and he like flips out and goes over and like bites its neck off. It was like, yeah, I love it.
Poetic justice.
I know.
There is some poetic justice in this past chapter too.
Yes.
Oh,
Smiling Titan.
shh, shh, shh. No spoilers. I don't want to.
Smiling
Smiling
Titan.
Titan.
Smiling Titan.
Smiling
All right.
Titan.
And I think, we're talking about the music. We also have to talk about the openings and endings because, as you
This
could
is
probably tell
being-
by
Love the openings.
the song at the beginning of this, we all love the first opening. I think the internet went crazy.
It
with
makes
the
me want
first
to take a
opening.
walk.
A walk?
Yeah, it
Take a
makes me want
walk?
to get up and walk somewhere.
I don't know.
Like
It's,
really
take a walk.
energetic.
it's
Like
more like fighting music than
It is.
walking music.
no, it inspires me to start moving, so it's a good thing.
It
Like
inspires
if I had
me
a
to
bike,
do
I'd totally
stuff.
ride a bike to this song.
It is pretty epic.
Here I am just riding a bike. Will it be somewhere I like?
Nice.
No, I totally would make a song about it too. I'm so good at improv
So
singing.
I don't know the OP.
I have started going downhill. I do hope I will not get killed.
I want to hear you
Yes.
write this song, Tristan.
The Attack on Titan bike song.
Yes. But the first OP is great, and the second one grew on me the more I watched it. Like it's not as good as the first, but I still think it's really good.
Actually, it's funny because I started listening because after watching the series, I'm like, I love these songs. I put them both on my playlist, and I'm like, after listening to them both a bunch of times, I ended up liking the second one better, which is a not very popular opinion on the internet because everybody was so angry that they replaced the first one with the second one. But I actually like that song better now.
I like the 1 minute 30 versions. Comparing them both, I like the first one better. Comparing the full versions, the second one is definitely better.
Yes,
because the first
definitely.
one was a little disappointing, honestly. The full version because it had more like German and it wasn't like
It is.
as more down like. The verses were kind of like downplayed and not like very energetic, which was like, I didn't really like that.
Yeah, no, I
But
understand.
whatever. And I also really love the first ending with that way they draw Mikasa, like with that cool art style. It's very pretty, and the song is really nice there too. And then the second ending, it was good, not anything to write home about, but it was fun. It had that bouncing walnut, which I always thought was cool because the walnut is bouncing like this epic guitar solos. It's like epic walnut.
one thing I do like, epic walnut.
Yeah,
What?
in the second ending, in the second half of the show.
I know, it's probably a term I don't understand, but what I did like about the first and
not a
second
term.
opening is that in the second opening they did have that same orchestra
Yeah.
thing going on.
Well-
so it was still related to
One of the coolest parts, if you listen to the full version of the second song, they do this bit where they sing some of the lyrics from the first opening because they were both done by the same band, and it's like a like softer, like differently arranged version of the first OP, and it comes in the second song, and it's like, yeah, that's cool. So I really love the full version of the second song. It's so epic.
Yeah. I like both of them the same. The first one, I did admit when I first heard it, it was a good opening, but then everyone played it over and over and over and over.
Yeah, it's been overused for sure, but that doesn't mean it's.
It doesn't mean it's not. It doesn't mean it's not good, but it's just between the two of them. I like them both. There's two pretty competent openings.
All right, so I think it's about time we get to final thoughts on the show. Now we've spent almost 2 hours talking about Attack on Titan.
Over 2 hours.
Has it been over 2 hours?
It's about 10:20.
Okay, well, for myself personally, like
I'm so tired.
I'm sorry, Clara.
No, it's okay.
We're almost done.
It's okay. I'll make it.
You can do it.
I'll persevere.
Attack on Titan definitely had some ups and downs. Like I said, I really love like the first 9 episodes. I think are really great. Then the pacing sort of slows down there a bit during Tross, and there were some slowdown bits, during the forest stuff that I didn't really like. But for me, whenever Titan is good, it's really, really good, and that makes me forgive the slow points or the flaws with the show. So that's sort of how it went for me. Like I'd go some episodes where I'd be like, not so sure, and then you get episode 21, and it's like, whoa, blow me away with awesomeness. I love all the 3D maneuver gear scenes. Like whenever you see they get to a 3D gear maneuver scene where they're moving like 3D backgrounds and the 2D characters are going down, it's really detailed animation. Like I love those, even though I'm not an animation major. I just watching it. It's so visually powerful. The 3D maneuver gear is cool. The characters are cool. The story is really the hook for me, like this dark story and this cool world that he's set up, and the fact that it is so realistic and so many characters die. There's not a whole lot of other shows that go that dark, that are this shonen action sort of show. And I think I don't know how it goes in the manga, but I think they chose a pretty good spot to end it, where it's an end of an arc, not the end of the series, obviously, but it feels conclusive enough, without obviously finishing things up because the manga's still ongoing.
It's probably just because of what happened later, but I really wish they pushed it forward a little bit more.
Just a little. I wanted them to leave it at a really super mega cliffhanger, and while this was one, there was a lot larger one that they could have done, and which one I'm talking about.
Damn it!
It would have broken the entire fandom. The fandom would have erupted into fire and flames and angst.
Yeah, that might have been
that's what I wanted.
That might have been too much of a cliffhanger almost.
No, it gives you drive and what you want to know why.
This happens right after how the anime ended.
After, because we still have to talk about the church. Because
that means the third season is going to start with that pretty early on, so it's going to get to a quick start.
There's a kind of a larger part afterwards where we meet, we find out about Ymir and Krista.
Okay,
and then
so there
the
was some
other
more
Titan.
The colossal and armored Titans.
Not even that one, the other one.
Oh, yes, that
one.
That guy.
That one.
So there's more things to learn about. Cool. Good. All right, Andrew.
I liked it so much. It was really, really good. And I complained about all the angst for a little while and that was good. But there really isn't a whole lot to complain about in the second half of the show. It got better. I can't really think of anything the second half of the show that I had a real big problem with. There were some little nitpicky things as you go along, but overall the show is just so good. It's so well done. The characters all feel so fully realized, and almost every character had an arc that felt complete-ish by the end. You feel like there's still more to go because it does feel like they're not done yet, but there was enough to keep me satisfied, and I just thought it was a really good show. And I'm yeah.
I did like the development Eren got, especially there near the end, where it's he has to give up his humanity, and he sort of does, but then he hasn't because he tears open Annie and sees her human form there crying, and he hesitates for that moment. And that's just long enough for her to crystallize, So
that's toughness 11, diamonds.
What were your thoughts overall, Tristan?
My thoughts overall, I know I complain a lot about the protagonist and some of the slowdown points, but overall, my opinion of it is that it is a very competently written piece of work, and it's well animated as well. So, I mostly fall in the middle. I don't like it the super best, but I do recognize it as a competently written piece of work, and it is one I'll probably be following as more chapters of the manga comes out. Also, Eren's a weenie, and Levi should beat the shit out of him.
All right, and Clara?
Well, it's been blessed. Everyone's already said all my stuff, but
sorry, Clara. You'll go first next time.
Okay,
I promise.
cool. Thanks. Holds to that. Like I said, Annie's my favorite. I hope she comes back somehow and like ends up being like a superhero. I'm really sad that she probably won't because she's not even been mentioned after this whole time.
But also,
she's just gone.
Annie just coming back and being a hero.
Or like just
It's not
being
the
like some
manga.
type of because I know she's been reluctant this whole time, and I'm like, I believe in you, baby. But I'm really excited to see what they're gonna do next because the next parts get super dramatic and like it's a whole nother level of just despair, and it's like, oh my god, so many things I want to see and see your reactions to. It's not even that I want to see it; I want to see what you're gonna do about it. But
Yeah, well, I do see on YouTube there's a lot of like reactions to Attack on Titan episode 5. You know, where someone does a face cam and then you see him freak out. You know, when Eren dies and stuff.
but like. And I really liked what you showed me in the animations. I definitely prefer overall reading manga more if I have the option to because I can do it at my own pace. Like I don't have to worry about fillers. But I did like how just absolutely amazing it was.
Tristan, was there any filler? Like it seemed to follow the manga pretty closely to what I understand of it.
I'm just saying
where
like
the
in general with life.
Where the anime goes up to episode 34 of the 50 released so far.
You mean chapter 34?
Chapter 34 is 33 or 34 is around where it was
And it's
released.
at 50 right now, right?
Yeah, like
they just put 50
I spent
out.
like 2 hours just catching up, so it's a quick catch up, and I would recommend it if you're just in the mood for more Titan. You'll get some more mysteries and stuff like that.
Your brain will break in half.
Yeah,
I don't want that to happen. I
It's
like
a
my brain.
good break. It's
Yeah.
like how Gurren Lagann broke me in every shape and form.
Well, that's just overload of awesomeness that makes no sense.
The awesomeness is subjective,
God,
but-
no,
From one
no,
hyped
that is
anime
just
to another
I
hyped
can't
anime.
handle that movie. Don't make me relive this.
that movie is the best.
It hurt me so much.
She doesn't have the manly testosterone we
Don't
do.
have
I
the
don't. I
fighting
don't have
spirit
that.
for that.
No.
Spiral energy.
We're not going to talk about this. This podcast is done.
No, well, if Clara says so, it must be so.
All right.
Well, I meant the
Attack on Titan.
Make it
podcast
so,
about
number
Gurren
one.
Lagann, but
All
I
right.
mean, I'm up for
Well,
that too.
Next week, I'm planning on doing an episode where we catch up on Legend of Korra because we've only gotten up to episode 2 podcast-wise, and there's a lot that's happened since. So next week's going to be a Korra episode, and we can talk about what you think of Korra and all that good stuff.
Anchor
Exciting.
forever.
But
Can you leave on diamonds?
well, I got to give the plugs here for avwproductions.com.
All right.
You can follow us on Twitter at TechIt'sOnYou. You know, we're avwproductions at gmail.com, I think, you know, for
Techheads.me.
email and stuff. Yeah, techheads.me, AVW Media on YouTube. You know, rate us on iTunes. You know, give us some good reviews.
We've got Facebook, Twitter, everything.
Yeah, we've got a Pinterest now.
Oh, yeah, we do. And we have a Tumblr, but not too impressive yet.
Yet. Claire will fix
Are you
that.
gonna
Well,
do
Laura
that?
too.
Can I
Laura's
plug
more.
my project?
Oh, yeah, sure.
All right. If you hate me enough, then please check out my project. Then please check out the project I'm working on. I'm the head animator for another AVW project, Pass of the Blue.
I'm on that. I'm the
Yeah.
Sackling.
And Matt Lunn is the producer of that, so it's a very
Clara
cool
here is the
thing.
Sackling and also an illustrator.
Yes.
Indeed. All right, so we will see you guys next week when we talk about Legend of Korra. But until then,
Toughness level 11. Diamonds.
Oh my God.
fair enough.
Spooky boogie.
This product is copyright AVW Productions 2013.